Hey everybody, we're back for a UFWJ watch party, Ultimate Fantasy World Juniors. Nowhere does this exist except on the UFFS platform, Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports. Check us out, uffsports.com, home of the Ultimate Fantasy World Juniors, first ever Dynasty League for the World Juniors. And we're here today to watch Canada battle Slovakia, and it's looking like a good one. Maybe not as good as it could have been. I mean, when you think about these two countries heading into this tournament, what do you think about? You think about Juraj Slafkovský and Shane Wright, competing for the first overall pick in this year's NHL draft. We would have been watching Slafkovský against Wright. You could imagine how big of a game this would have been for Shane Wright. Both those players are not in this tournament, unfortunately. They skipped the summer tournament to focus on their first ever NHL training camp a little over a month away now, September 15th. And then you think about it again, you could have had three first overall picks in a row potentially in this game. You could have had Owen Power from 2021 for Canada, Juraj Slafkovský from 2022 for Slovakia, and of course Connor Bedard, the projected first overall pick in 2023. And we do get to watch Connor Bedard play today, which is awesome. Anytime you get to see Connor Bedard, on any day, he's going to bring you out of your seat. So I can't wait to get excited watching Bedard, and he's playing on Canada's top line with Mason McTavish, who's played everywhere this year, including the Olympics for Canada. But you get Bedard and McTavish together, teammates for Velta Cunha in the UFWJ. You also get Joshua Roy, one of the surprise players. He's actually with... he's not with Anarchia. That's Arnie's team. Arnie would have loved to have him, but he got scooped up just before Arnie by Can West, I'm going to say. Yeah, Can West grabbed him in the second round of our supplementary draft this past weekend. So, but yeah, definitely Joshua Roy, big opportunity playing with Bedard and McTavish, and Canada's top line's looking really strong. Goaltending matchup today, by all accounts, we're gonna have Dylan Garand of Anarchia. Sebastian Kosa got Anarchia a win. He was the top goaltender in UFWJ yesterday in that 5-2 win over Latvia. Latvia played Canada tough, and I expect Slovakia, even without the big three, Slafkovský, first overall pick this year, Simon Nemec, second overall pick this year, and Philip Mazar, who was a later first-round pick from Montreal. All three of those big three for Slovakia are missing this tournament. But you look at Slovakia's opener. They came out and faced Czechia, and that was a back-and-forth barn burner. First game of the tournament on Monday, on Tuesday. First game of the tournament, and Czechia wins it with a 5-4 heroics from Gabriel Stutz, a guy who plays here in Kelowna, an import for the Kelowna Rockets in the WHL. But just great to see. Just looking for the game here. I have the TV on, and I thought it was on the right channel, and now I'm not seeing the game. So let me make sure we got the watch party going in case I'm telling you something that's not true. But we believe the goaltending matchup is going to be today. Yeah, there we go. We got the game on. It's not on the number one TSN channel, which is shocking, but here we go nonetheless. Game's on, and warm-ups are on. They'll be dropping the puck here soon. There you see Dylan Garand in goal. CHL goaltender of the year this year. He was the starter in the December tournament. And as mentioned, Anarchia has the tandem. They have Garand and Kosa. Kosa gets him a win yesterday. They're looking to climb the standings. They really want Garand to get him a win today. And if Garand plays well today, he's probably the Canadian Team Canada's goaltender the rest of the tournament. Canada obviously expected to be playing in the medal round, potentially in the gold medal game. That's the expectation. If so, that's going to mean a lot of goaltending points for the Anarchia. Again, all these countries are uniquely branded. They have their own flags, as you see here on the screen. Anarchia's in the bottom row, second from the right. The baby blue, great-looking flags. You can run through them. These are all, again, very unique countries. A part of UFFS big part of it is the branding. But goaltending matchup, you have Dylan Garand of Anarchia up against Simon Lakozy, I believe, is going to be starting for Slovakia. He's their go-to goalie. He played in that opener, although it was a 5-4 loss to Czechia. Czechia outplayed Slovakia significantly. If not for Simon Lakozy, he was named Slovakia's player of the game. If not for, I believe 47 saves in that 5-4 loss, 52 shots against. If not for him, that could have been a little bit more lopsided for Czechia. So Simon Lakozy's been in this tournament a couple times already. He's had some big games for Slovakia. Not a real big goaltender, right around 6 foot, but very athletic, a guy that could potentially, keep this close, but potentially even scare Canada a little bit, maybe even get a possibility of stealing the game. But there you see the standings. Finland wins in a shootout earlier today over Czechia. Another great game, 4-3 shootout win. Czechia captain Jan Misak, Montreal Canadiens draft pick. Late equalizer there, sent the game to overtime after Atu Räty had put Finland ahead midway through the third, and then in the shootout, no scoring in overtime, goes to a shootout. Back and forth. Roby Jarventi opened the scoring for Finland. Jan Mysak, again, the captain of Czechia, in the fourth round tied it up, and then in the fifth round, Kasper Samontevel of East End. East End is the middle of the top row. The flags you're looking at there is East End with the Wolves. Blue, white, and red flag. You see a lot of blue, white, and red flags amongst the countries, but East End, they're leading the standings through 2 days, heading into day 3, and they got a strong game in the opener. They're heavy on Finnish players. Obviously, Räty scored. Samontevel had the winner. And the winning goaltender in that shootout was Republic of the Seven Seas, top left there. Their goaltender Levi Merilainen, Finland's starter. He's won both games so far for Finland. They beat Latvia in their opener 6-1 on Tuesday, and then as mentioned, the early game today, Finland over Czechia 4-3 in a shootout. So Finland's off to a good start as expected. They got the most returning players out of any country from December till the summer tournament. So Finland's certainly a medal favorite. And then obviously Sweden has Jesper Wallstedt back with Monstopia, which is second from the right in the top row of the flags. Kind of has the Monster Energy theme going, the neon green. You gotta love that country's flag and their sort of monster logo, if you will. Great looking flag, and it is Simon Lakozy of Can West starting in goal. We'll go through the rosters. We'll show off the different countries and how their rosters are shaping up throughout the game. Before puck drop, which is almost imminently, we should flash the standings where we stood coming into today. There's one scoring change here. Anarchia actually jumped ahead of Can West. We had Dylan Garand as the starter yesterday. Only one goalie starts, and they did have Sebastian Kosa starting for them yesterday. So they get an extra 7.5 points, bump them above Can West. So Anarchia is in 6th place. Can West is in 7th, and then Midgard down there. But you look at the top, you got East End and Scoreway, less than 2 points apart, battling it out for first place through 2 days of UFWJ. Valtakunia and Monstopia were top 3 teams on day 2 yesterday, and they're now battling it out in the medal hunt as well. This tournament is total points for UFWJ from Tuesday's opener all the way through next Sunday's gold medal game on August 20th. So these points just continue to accumulate throughout the tournament as the puck is down and Canada and Slovakia are underway. And again, really looking forward to this game. Couple lineup changes to note. Brennan Othman draws in for Canada. Brennan Othman was the first overall pick in our supplementary draft this past weekend by Republic of the Seven Seas. Big shoes to fill. Matvei Mishkov, obviously Team Russia's not a part of the tournament, so Matvei Mishkov was lost from their December roster. They used their first overall pick on Brennan Othman, who's going to make his World Juniors debut today. He was out of the lineup. He replaces Riley Kidney of Scoreway. So Scoreway who's strong out of the gate. They have Riley Kidney drawing out, and Republic of the Seven Seas get Brennan Othman in on the fourth line for Canada. But as you know, Canada's a deep team. There is no real fourth line, and Canada's on the attack early here. Big save from Simon Latkoczy. And this is a game where Can West, they hope Latkoczy keeps it close. They hope he gets 60 shots because you can find Bedard out there very easily with the full bubble, the full shield. So he's the only 16, now just turned 17-year-old, but he's got to wear the full bubble for the full mask for the World Juniors. So he's an easy one to spot out there, but he just had a nice scoring chance for Canada for Velta Cunha. And again, that was the big pad save there by Latkoczy was on Bedard. Mason McTavish, his Velta Cunha teammate, turned that puck over at the blue line and sort of got Bedard a quality scoring chance, and McTavish tried to follow up on the rebound, but that shot got blocked. But good, strong first shift for Canada's top line with Bedard and McTavish. And if that line lights it up, Velta Cunha is going to be one of the gold medal favorites because that was their first and second round pick. They got both of them back in December. They got both of them back this summer, where a lot of other countries, as you can imagine, with the guys we've been talking about that aren't here, they lost some of their top picks. Velta Cunha was fortunate to get a lot of their guys back, so they were my favorite for gold in the preview. So I think Velta Cunha, East End are kind of my two that are I think are going to be gold, silver, and obviously we're looking at the standings here. East End's off to the best start so far, and they're led by a lot of Finnish players and a lot of Canadian players, including Kent Johnson. They have Canada's third goaltender, Brett Brochu. Don't know if he'll see any playing time. First trade in UFWJ history went down yesterday. Caden Mabreko, USA's starting goaltender in their tournament opener, got them a win. He played for Midgard on opening day, traded to Velta Cunha, trying to address their goaltending on day 2 of the tournament. Traded back Carl Lindbom, who's a 2003 for Sweden. He's number 3 on Sweden's depth chart for goaltending, but he's likely going to be the starter come December, the way projections would work, unless somebody else steps up there. So you get potentially Sweden's starter at the December tournament, as well as a second-round pick in December for Caden Mabreko, who started the U.S.'s first game, but is he their starter? Is he locked in? Not necessarily. They got Remington Koppel and Andrew Oak, both members of UCAN Republic for UFWJ, and I think we're going to see Remington Koppel at least get one game in this tournament, and the U.S. will go from there. But a strong start for Caden Mabreko with Midgard, and he immediately gets traded to Velta Cunha. First trade in UFWJ history, as mentioned, for Carl Lindbom, the number 3 goaltender from Sweden, who will be back in the December tournament most likely. He's the only eligible returnee among Sweden's 3 goalies, so expect him back and a potential starter for Midgard come Christmas. So Midgard may be planning for the future, because again, this is a dynasty league for World Juniors, which is pretty incredible. Most of these countries, because this is a younger tournament this summer than that, normally this is the 19-year-old tournament. There's lots of 18-year-olds, lots of 17-year-olds, especially with a lot of the older guys somewhat outgrowing the World Juniors and more so focused on the NHL training camps coming up. Other guys recovering from off-season surgeries. Just the way it worked out, they're showing that Bedard chance again, but Bedard's flying early, but just the way it worked out, a lot of younger guys in this tournament than usual, so that means there'll be more returnees for UFWJ countries come the Christmas time tournament, the December-January tournament. So normally most countries bring back, anywhere from, Canada sometimes only brings back 1 or 2, but normally I'd say between 5 and 10. This time it'll probably be closer to between 10 and 15 for a lot of these 10 UFWJ countries. It mirrors the real world. 10 countries, same as the World Juniors, and 25-man active rosters. So every single player, all 250 players at the World Juniors this year, playing these next 2 weeks, have value in UFWJ. I mean, we're watching Slovakia and Canada here, two of the top. Slovakia is probably number 6 in this tournament, but 2 of the better countries. But when you're watching Canada, Latvia yesterday, Latvia's number 6 defenseman, ice time's a category. So every minute on the ice, every shot on goal. Everything has an impact in the scoring system for UFWJ, which we can take a look at here. Always good to show the scoring system. Let's bring that up here. So we got the UFWJ scoring system. You can see here. So yeah, I mean, you can tell that time on ice is 0.05 per minute. But if you're over 20 minutes, you're over a point, obviously, and then every point counts. And then obviously shots on goal, 0.25. We had game-winning goal. Kasper Simontevel, shootout winner today. Canada's really pushing here, and Simon Lacosi standing on his head early. Although it says shots are 4-3, but the grade A chances have been for Canada, and Lacosi starting hot. And when this guy's hot, he reminds me of a Yaroslav Halak-type goaltender. Very similar to Halak. Not the biggest guy, but when he's in the zone, like we've seen Halak in some of those playoffs with Montreal back in the day and some international action, he can really shut the door. And Kent Johnson drives the net there, pulls it to the backhand, really good scoring chance, and Simon Lacosi shuts the door. Can West has to be loving what they're seeing early from their number one goaltender. Their only starting goaltender out of their three, Lacosi, and he got them over 8 points on day one, even though it was a 5-4 loss. Like I said, he got 47 saves and just stood on his head. He was player of the game for Slovakia and put up a nice point total for Can West. So they're hoping for more of the same. If he can keep it under 5 goals, great. But as long as he gets close to that 50 saves again, he'll be definitely producing some fantasy points for Can West. But looking at the scoring system, a lot of it is similar to the UFHL, the Ultimate Fantasy Hockey League, our version of the NHL. Again, 32 franchises, 23-man active roster, 50 contracts, or 27-man protected list. Everything mirrors the NHL there. Here, everything mirrors the World Juniors as Canada breaks in again, and they're putting it on here. Definitely Slovakia is on their heels. It feels like a matter of time until Canada breaks through as Bedard dangles his way through the offensive zone. Give and go, and wham! Bedard, 1-0 Canada. Him and Mason McTavish looking like men among boys early here. Great give and go. Bedard finds McTavish on the right side and then finds that soft ice, and McTavish slides it right through the slot across to him. No chance for Simon Lacosi there. And here you see Bedard behind the net, little drop pass. McTavish off the post, catches the side of the post behind the net. Just a dominant shift. Out high to Bedard, puts on the brakes, dangles one guy, slows up, gives a soft little pass over to McTavish, who finds Bedard back and just absolutely tucks it in. Like I said, not much chance for Simon Lacosi. Bedard just found that soft ice and nobody picked him up on the give and go. Second game in a row, Connor Bedard's opened the scoring for Canada. And again, when you look at that connection, McTavish and Bedard, I can see George Batchel celebrating from here, because that's Velta-Cunha goal and Velta-Cunha assist. Those line mates are going to try to lead Velta-Cunha to gold in the UFWJ as Slovakia comes in quick 2-on-1 off the ensuing face-off, trying to get that goal back. And Slovakia has a bit of that quick strike offense. So the ice is going to get tilted here in favor of Canada, but when Slovakia gets a chance, as you've seen in their opener, 5-4, they scored 4 goals. Dylan Garand's going to be tested today. Slovakia is going to get some grade A chances. They might not get a ton of shots, but if they get 20 shots, they're probably going to get 6 or 7 grade A chances. So definitely Dylan Garand of Anarchia. He's loving playing with Canada's spotted him an early lead here, but he's going to have to be sharp. He makes a stop there on a bit of a weak backhander, but Slovakia can play. And like I said, it's kind of that quick strike offense. Certainly they don't have Slikovsky and Mazar, who would be their real go-to guys on offense. And Simon Nemitz on the blue line, providing the offense from the back end. But they still got guys like Adam Sikora, second-round pick of the Rangers. He's, becoming one of their go-to guys here. They also have Dalibor Dvorsky. Keep an eye on him. He's, I should tell you what number he is so you can watch him specifically. But he's a young guy. He's going to be potentially a top 10 pick in next year's draft in the 2020. No, sorry, I don't know if he's 2020. I think he's 2024, Dalibor Dvorsky. That's how young he is. I think he's 2 years away. Slovakia breaking in on a breakaway here. big guy. Who is that? 14. Not sure who that was. Big lumbering forward. Quite a bit bigger than the Canadian defenseman, but he breaks in off the rush and gets a partial break, gets a good scoring chance. Dylan Garand. Looked like the big guy was running on fumes by the time he got to the net. Probably end of a shift there, but Garand stands his ground and turns him away nonetheless. I'm just going to get some lineups here. I had them, and then I put them down as Canada regains the offensive zone and sets up. As expected, Canada's going to be controlling a lot of this game and probably drawing some penalties, and their power play will get some opportunities. But here again, looks a lot like it did when Bedard scored. Just dominant offensive zone, working the puck around, finding the open man. It's 5-on-5, and it seems like there's always at least one open guy for Canada. The Slovaks are struggling with that man-to-man D zone. But Simon Lecozzi, a couple more saves here on this shift. This is the Logan Stankoven line as he tries to pull the trigger, misses wide with Kent Johnson and Tyson Forster. Another really strong line for Canada. Kent Johnson, as mentioned, with East End. I believe both Forster and Stankoven are with Elite Prospectia, but let me confirm that. Stankoven and Forster. Yeah, so 2/3 of that line are with 2/3 of that second line for Canada, if you want to call it line 1B, are members of Elite Prospectia. Obviously, one of our proud partners at UFFS and the UFHL is Elite Prospects. All our hockey player profiles, the data is powered by Elite Prospects. Going on, entering our third season or fourth season, I guess, with Elite Prospects as a partner. Third season on the platform, so really happy to have them in the fold, and happy to have Peter Sibner and Rob Love and Ed Palumbo put together a team here in UFWJ. The Elite Prospectia, fitting name, get their branding in there, and they lost Shane Wright and Owen Power. They lost. So you were talking about Velta-Cunha. They're bringing back Bedard and McTavish. Well, unfortunately for Elite Prospectia, they lost Power and Wright. So a little bit of a struggle or power imbalance when you lose those guys. But they did draft Tyson Forster with their first overall pick in the supplementary draft. So again, they hope Forster and Logan Stankoven as Canadian forwards can really help lead the charge for them. Again, looking at line combos, and Dalibor Dvorsky, number 15 for Slovakia. So he's not a real big player, but you see number 15 out there. He's one guy to watch. He is a 2023 draft eligible. So like Bedard, he's up for the NHL draft next summer. Big showcase here, and they'll both be prominent players again in December at those World Juniors. But Dvorsky wants to have a strong showing today against Bedard. I don't think he's in the conversation for, obviously not for number one, but he could be in that top 10, 5 to 10 range likely, I think is where a lot of people sort of have Dvorsky pegged. Again, we're coming off the Holinka Gretzky Cup, which is most of these draft-eligible guys. We saw guys like Otto Stenberg and from Sweden, and Kasper Halttunen from Finland, and a lot of the guys that are projected to be higher, top 10 picks were on display at that tournament. But this is obviously another level of going from U18 to U20. So Dvorsky, one of the younger players in this tournament, like Bedard, but definitely a guy to watch. Dalibor Dvorsky, Republic of the Seven Seas. And they also have Servek Petrovsky, who was a bit of a faller. I want to say he plays with Owen Sound in the OHL, if I remember right. I'm pretty sure it's Owen Sound he plays for. He's an import in the OHL. Had a great draft year, but fell to the 6th round to the Minnesota Wild. He came out and had 2 points in Slovakia's opener, goal and assist. Dvorsky also had an assist for Republic of the Seven Seas. So they have a younger roster in general. They were already built for the future, obviously, by starting with Matvei Mishkov as sort of their franchise player. But they continued that trend in the supplementary draft. So come Christmas, come next year, the 23-24 tournaments, I think Republic of the Seven Seas are going to be one of the teams to beat and again, guys like Petrovsky and Dvorsky will both be back in December, I believe, because, Petrovsky, they'll be back this December and probably next as well. They're eligible for 2 more tournaments. So, yeah, it's going to be, as we see, Slovakia as the game's first power play here. And shots are showing 10-9 Slovakia. Again, I'd say the grade A chances are probably 4-0 Canada. I don't think Dylan Garan's had to make a real big save yet, but I expect he'll get tested here on this Slovak power play. And it's interesting to see who they'll have out here. It looks like that's Dvorsky there along the boards. Or no, that's Adam Sikora digging in there. And again, I said Adam Sikora is one of their forwards to really watch. Rangers picked him in the second round. A bit of an interesting story there. Dvorsky was, Adam Sikora was the first overall pick in the CHL import draft by the Medicine Hat Tigers, but he is going to start the season back home in Slovakia playing pro with the men there. So whether or not we see him in Medicine Hat, maybe after the World Juniors at Christmas potentially, but he's going to start the season in pro as Dalibor Dvorsky tries to throw a back pass. The blue liner wasn't in position for him, so Slovakia is regrouping here. No real chances on this power play with 20 seconds to go. Looks like Canada's going to have a successful kill to start this game, and special teams are so huge in a short tournament like this. You're looking at the scoring system. Power play points, shorthanded points are I guess you could call it a bonus point on top of your goal and assists. So anytime there's special teams, the importance is a little bit higher here as Canada breaks in 5-hole. Will Cooley gets behind the defense after the penalty kill. Puck gets chipped ahead to him, and he goes 5-hole on Simon Latkozy. 2-0 Canada. Will Cooley's a guy, another OHL forward, another New York Rangers prospect. Big power forward guy, really improved his foot speed, his skating. In this past season, had a big role for Windsor in the OHL. Windsor lost to Hamilton in the OHL final, but he was a big-time player for the Windsor Spitfires for Mark Savard's team in the OHL. And nice little quick release 5-hole. He's got a heavy shot. That's one thing about Will Cooley. He was drafted higher than some expected, or higher than some had him ranked as a second-round guy to the Rangers. And people compared him to Tom Wilson. You know, when he gets the pro, big, heavy, power forward guy who's got a mean streak. He can fight. He can hit. And for UFWJ, we should obviously check up on who has Will Cooley. The assists are Ridley Grieg, who I know is Valta Cunha. And I believe Will Cooley also from Valta Cunha. So that's a back-to-back goals. 2 Canadian goals that are Valta Cunha goal scorer and assist. And actually, that's an all Valta Cunha goal. Mason McTavish getting the second assist there. So you got, or maybe he might have been the guy that chipped the puck ahead, but you got Cooley from McTavish and Ridley Gregg. And so you got, you could do the math. It was even strength goal, but that's 7.5 fantasy points for Valta Cunha on that goal. And they already had, 5 fantasy points from the McTavish to Bedard. So they're already well into the 12 plus fantasy points just from this game alone. I said whenever Canada plays, look out for Valta Cunha, because they're a medal contender with the guys they have, and they probably didn't expect a goal from Will Cooley. They're counting on, you look here at their lineup, they're counting on Bedard, McTavish, those guys, Isaac Rosen, who scored the game-winning goal in Sweden's opener. Believe they won, 3-2, or they might have pulled away a bit there yesterday. No, it was 3-2, and he had the 3-0 goal. Isaac Rosen got a game-winning goal there. And I mean, we also have, of course, we can take a look at the rosters this way as well. And there you see Valta Cunha, the team we're talking about here. And I'll close this down so we can have a better look at it size-wise. Yeah, there you can see Valta Cunha. So when you're looking at their roster, forwards, obviously, Bedard, McTavish, Gregg, and Cooley from Canada. The big thing for me and why I predicted Valta Cunha to be my gold medal winner at UFWJ, I thought they stole Thomas Bordeleau. They did have a second-round pick. I lied. So Bedard must have been their first-round pick, and then McTavish must have been their third-round pick back in December. I think there was some uncertainty whether or not McTavish was going to get loaned by Anaheim at that time. So he went in the third round. Their second-round pick, I'm not sure who that... Oh, Drew Commesso, the goaltender from the United States. That was their second-round pick in December. They went out and got their goalie, and he's not back this summer, even though he was eligible, obviously. So with Drew Commesso out, they used their second-round pick on Thomas Bordeleau. In my opinion, Bordeleau was the second-best player available in this supplementary draft after Atu Ratty, who actually went second overall to East End, behind, as mentioned, Brennan Othman of Canada, Canadian forward, was the first overall pick to Republic of the Seven Seas. Again, they're looking at December. Othman's probably going to have a big role on that December team as one of the returnees from this summer tournament. So they're planning for the future Dynasty League, so they take Brennan Othman. They also took Sean Barons, defenseman from the United States, who will also be there in December. They took him at 6th overall with the first pick of the second round, ahead of Velta Cunha, who, George Batchel actually provided a list for that draft. He was unable to attend, and I'm sure he was shocked when the results came out that at 7th overall, they got Thomas Bordeleau. As mentioned, Atu Ratty went 2nd overall. Among the guys that weren't at the December tournament, that supplementary draft was only to replace... There was actually 103 players out of 250 that across 10 countries. Obviously, 25 of them are Latvians, right, replacing the 25 Russians. But still, 103 total players out of 250 weren't back from December to August. So a lot of replacements in this tournament, in the World Juniors, and of course in Ultimate Fantasy World Juniors as well, including Thomas Bordeleau as the new ringer for Velta Cunha. But again, when you keep Bedard and McTavish, and then you get Thomas Bordeleau, as Canada makes it 3-0 here, this might be Brennan Othman. We were just talking about Brennan Othman. I think he gets this goal for Republic of the Seven Seas. So it looks like our first overall pick in the supplementary draft is on the board. He sat out the first game. He had a couple undisciplined penalties in the pre-tournament game against Sweden. Dave Cameron sent a message, took him out of the lineup, back in the lineup, and boom. That's one thing with Brennan Othman, volume shooter, and he can rip it. He's another New York Rangers prospect. Lots of New York Ranger prospects, but there's Brennan Othman, one-timer, no chance for Simon Lakazi off the turnover. And Canada's up 3-0. And Republic of the Seven Seas, Mooch is celebrating. Jeff and Mick are pumped because they were a little disappointed when their first overall pick was a healthy scratch in Canada's opener yesterday. He was the only forward sitting out against Latvia. So here you got Brennan Othman makes it 3-0 for Canada with the assist to Will Cooley. So chalk up another point for Velta Cunha on the assist, as those two OHL guys, both New York Rangers prospects, connect on a goal to make it 3-0 Canada here, somewhat late, under 4 minutes to go in the first period. But yeah, definitely Brennan Othman can shoot the puck and knows he's got a nose for the net, gets himself in good shooting positions, good scoring positions. And, big chance there for Slovakia. Probably their best chance of the game. Looked like it got blocked by the sprawling defenseman. But that's a big goal for Brennan Othman, getting back in the lineup and making an immediate impact. He was penciled in as the third-line left winger going into the tournament. Like I said, he had some bad undisciplined penalties against Sweden in the pre-tournament game. Coach Dave Cameron sending a bit of a message to rein it in a bit and sit out and watch the opener against Latvia. He comes back in, has some energy, fresh legs, and scores a goal for Republic of the Seven Seas. First overall pick in the supplementary draft is on the board. And again, Velta Cunha just racking up the points here. They're probably at 15 points in this first period already. So George Batchel, Kevin Batchel, the owner of that franchise, Jope, is from Finland. One of our international owners in UFFS, so certainly Jope will be pumped as well that his country that he helped create, Velta Cunha, and I forgot to look up what Velta Cunha what it stands for or what the word means in Finland, but it is a Finnish word, Valtakunta, and definitely represents success here in the Ultimate Fantasy World Juniors. Great play by Cooley to pick off that outlet pass, and just a perfect feed over to Brennan Othman, who rips it past Simon Lacosi. So 3-0 Canada. Valtakunta is in on all 3 goals. And our first overall pick from the supplementary draft, Brennan Othman, in his World Juniors debut, scores in the first period for Republic of the Seven Seas. So yeah, just a great start. Shots on goal are showing 11-11, showing even, but as expected and as you can imagine, the ice has been tilted throughout this first period in favor of Canada. No real chance for Simon Lacosi, the Slovakian goaltender, on any of these goals. I mean, maybe that Will Cooley breakaway that went 5-hole, maybe you need a big save there to keep it 1-0, and especially because Canada had just killed off a penalty and then they score right out of the box essentially. So maybe you want that save from him, but he's made some big saves on Bedard and others earlier on, and no chance on the Bedard goal, no chance on that Brennan Othman goal. Both were perfect shots off essentially one-time situations. And then, Will Cooley was a breakaway. So, I mean, that's I guess you could say a 50-50 thing for the goaltender, but it's obviously a grade A chance. No bad goals against so far for Simon Lacosi of Can West, but they're hoping he shuts the door here. Latvia goaltender kept Canada to 5 goals, so if you're a betting man, you probably think this one. It's funny because we put out a poll yesterday. Over under, is Canada gonna get double digits on Latvia, 10 goals, and that game was 1-1 after the first period, or halfway through the game it was 1-1. I think it was 3-1 at one point, and Canada ended up pulling away and winning 5-2, but that game was much closer than everybody expected, and now today it's the opposite. It's already 3-0 Canada over Slovakia as we get into the final minute of the first period here, but just a great showcase for UFWJ. And in the intermission here, I'll maybe take a quick 5-second break, and then we'll get back and we'll go through some of the rosters. And obviously, we've been staring at Valtakunta. You probably got that one memorized by now, but we'll go back to Republic of the Seven Seas, who had the first overall pick. They actually lost the most players. 17 out of their 25 from December had to be replaced. As mentioned, Brennan Othman, the first overall pick. Sean Behrens was their top D. They lost all 8 D from the December tournament. Had to replace all 8 with guys that are new to the World Juniors this summer. So that's a big turnover as Canada, before the end of the first period, makes it 4-0. Owen Zellweger, defenseman from East End. And you look at East End's roster, as mentioned, they have a lot of Canadian content as well. Owen Zellweger had the game-winning goal for Canada yesterday against Latvia. He had the 3rd goal on a power play, stood up as the game winner, and 2 games, 2 goals for Owen Zellweger is kind of the top offensive defenseman for Canada. Well, him and Lucas Cormier are both really good, and this might be Zellweger picks it up. Just looking, did that go off? Kent Johnson possibly in front. That might be Johnson's goal. I'm not sure if it hit him or not. Here's a better angle. No, that's straight in. But Kent Johnson also of East End, as you see here, they're Canadian content. They're led by Johnson and Zellweger as far as Canadians go. And then lots of Finns. They got Roni Hervonen, the captain from Finland, Kasper Samontavel, who obviously had the shootout winner in the early game today. Atu Radi was the 2nd overall pick in the supplementary draft. Like Thomas Borlo, another guy that would have been there in December, but if not for a positive COVID test. So that's why he missed the World Juniors in December. But he's certainly a go-to guy for Finland now. Scored again. I want to say he scored again today. Yeah, he did. He had the go-ahead goal. So he's got goals in both games for Finland. He had the 3-2 goal halfway through the 3rd period today, and then Czechia tied it up. But they got 2/3 of Finland's top line with Hervonen and Radi, and then Kasper Samontavel is a really offensive guy. They're looking at offside here on the entry for Canada, trying to see if Kent Johnson's offside. But to me, it looks like he's good. But as we know, coaches' challenges and me don't go too good together. So we'll just let the refs make this call. I think it's a good goal. Looked like the entry was in before Johnson's skate crossed, but we'll see the scoring summary here too. This could be a big goal for East End because it looks like Kent Johnson's going to get an assist, even though the puck didn't. It wasn't his goal. It didn't hit him in front, but it looked like he had the last touch before Zellweger. And I'm expecting this goal to stand, but the linesmen are out of the box with 43 seconds to go, and we'll get the official call here from the ref. Yeah, we got a good goal, so I finally got a challenge right. And Owen Zellweger of the Everett Silvertips in the Western Hockey League. It reminds a really offensive defenseman there in Everett. And yeah, he's got 2 goals in 2 games. He had the third goal against Latvia that stood up as the winner, and now he's got the 4th goal today against Slovakia. A bit of a blowout here. And of course, coaches challenge, you get it wrong, you get a penalty. So now Canada's up 4-0 with 43 seconds left in the first. And they're going to have a power play to end the first period, possibly start the second period if they don't score here in the next 43 seconds. But so yeah, that's a tough one for Slovakia on the challenge. You get it wrong, and now you got to face Bedard, McTavish, Zellweger, Johnson, you name it. This is a loaded power play for Canada. I think Stankoven's the 5th guy. Another guy that can really score as well. So, or McTavish is out there too. Yeah, but this is going to be Canada's first power play of the game. And again, they're wanting to work on their special teams. But if depending how this goes, if they score on this power play, it's likely going to be another big goal for Valtacunia and East End potentially. So we'll see how this last 30 seconds plays out on this power play, or if they go into the intermission up 4-0. But looks like, what are we calling this here? Looks like they're bringing the play back. Bit of a slow start off to this power play. Looks like the refs are calling, oh wow, another penalty to Slovakia. So here we go. We got a 5-on-3 for Canada for 1:49. 32.9 seconds left in the first period, but that's a tough one. You take a penalty 11 seconds into the power play after getting a coach's challenge wrong. You're in the box 11 seconds later. What's happening here? Oh, a bit of an interference. He just took the stick out of the hands, forechecking out of slashing for Sikora. So 5-on-3 to end this first period. Canada obviously looking to make it 5-0 and really put a dagger in here. They're running the power play through Bedard as the high guy on the point, him and Zellweger. Under 20 seconds to go here, so they probably want to rip one home. There's a chance. Bedard fires high and over the net. Can they keep this in? 10 seconds to go in the first period. Teeing Bedard up again into the slot. Looks like Slovakia is going to survive, but they're going to have 1:20. Minute 18, minute 19 of a 2-man advantage to start the second period. So this first period couldn't have went any better for Canada as Connor Bedard mixing it up a bit there. But his aim was a little off on that shot. I think maybe Jakub Demek might have got his stick on it, but he fired it high and wide. Bedard's already got 1 in this first period. Bedard, 4 different goal scorers for Canada. You got Bedard, you got Will Cooley, you got Brennan Othman, and Olin Zellweger. So Zellweger of East End, Othman of Republic of the Seven Seas, and then you got Cooley and Bedard, both of Valtacunia. So big period for Valtacunia and East End. And as mentioned, Brennan Othman, first overall pick in the supplementary draft on the weekend. So big for him to... there you see that. There's a bit of a rivalry here as big Jakub Demek, who actually plays in the CHL, in the WHL against Connor Bedard, plays for the Edmonton Oil Kings, the WHL champion Edmonton Oil Kings. He's a big, strong man. I believe he's a 4th-round pick for the Vegas Golden Knights, but he almost chokeslammed Bedard there with his big mitts around the neck. But only 2 seconds left, a formality face-off here, and we're going into the intermission with a 4-0 lead for Canada. As Bedard still mixing it up, battling it out, gets a stick in the face. And again, he's wearing the full visor, full bubble, because he's an underager here like Dalibor Dvorsky is for Slovakia as well. But very eventful first period for Connor Bedard and Team Canada, 4-0. Bedard opens the scoring in both of Canada's games, yesterday against Latvia, today against Slovakia. So off to a great start. And at the other end of the ice, Dylan Garand faced 11 shots according to the shot clock. Didn't seem like he made too many quality saves, but Anarchia's loving that. A 4-0 lead for their goaltender. They got the win yesterday from Sebastian Cossa. Today they're well on their way to a win from Dylan Garand, up 4-0 on Slovakia. So when you think about how important goaltending is in that scoring system for UFWJ, when you have Canada's tandem, Cossa and Garand, that bodes well for Anarchia to hopefully, in their case, climb the standings a bit and get into that top 5 and take a run at a medal as well. My predictions, I had Valtakunia gold, which is looking good in this first period. East End silver, they're also all over the score sheet again today between Finland and Canada. And then I had Anarchia. I had Arnie Entz, Brent Baldwin, and Jason Melnick of Anarchia. I had them with Crown Sports and Entertainment. I thought those guys were going to maybe... I said there's 6 teams battle. The battle for bronze, it's got... it's a 6-horse race for bronze. In my opinion, I think gold and silver are going to go to Valtakunia and East End one way or the other because they had, the strongest returning group and drafted the 2 best players with Ratty and Bordalo in the supplementary draft. But there's a ton of competition for bronze. I gave the edge to Anarchia. I thought we can look at their roster now while we're talking about them. But where are we here? Anarchia. So, yeah, they got Lucas Cormier from Canada, who had an assist, I believe, yesterday, or maybe he had a goal yesterday. Lucas Cormier, I think, had a goal yesterday. But certainly he's one of Canada's top offensive defensemen, along with Olin Zellweger, who scored again today. The goaltending tandem, Cossa and Garand, and obviously Garand's playing today. He's probably the starter going forward, even though Cossa was a higher pick in the December draft. Garand looks like he's going to be the guy for Canada. And then you look at the rest of their roster. I mean, I think Matthew Nyes, he had a bit of a quiet opener for Team USA, but watch what he does tonight against Switzerland. He's, they call him Matthews Light or whatever you want to say, right? He's a poor man's Matthews. He's from Arizona, same place that Austin Matthews is from. He's a Leafs draft pick, just like Austin Matthews. Tons of similarities in the way he patterns his game after Matthews, although he's a winger and Matthews is a center. Matthew Nyes was a second-round pick. Second-rounder. Matthews was a first overall pick. So poor man's Matthews, Matthews Light, whatever you want to call him. But keep an eye on Matthew Nyes tonight for Team USA. They also have Brett Berard from the Americans, who has a top 6 role. He's a energy type player that can certainly bring speed and scoring. And then they have a couple really good players from Sweden as well, and Theodor Niederbach and Daniel Lungman. If you remember the Hlinka Gretzky tournament for this age group a couple of years ago, there was an epic shootout between Canada and Sweden. It was Cole Perfetti against Daniel Lungman, and Sweden actually won gold in that tournament. I believe they beat Canada in the final in a shootout. It was Daniel Lungman with the heroics, and he was Sweden's best player in that tournament. He's going to be a top-line guy. With Sweden missing guys like Alexander Holtz and William Eklund, 2 of their top end forwards, they're really going to be relying on a guy like Daniel Lungman in this tournament. So he's got a prominent role, as does Theodor Niederbach. So a couple big name guys there for Anarchia, and their captain, who they named their captain, Samuel Helenius. Speaking of big guys, he's a big power forward for Finland, playing on a line with Brad Lambert and Ville Koivunen. That was Finland's best line in their 2 games in December. So I really look at Samuel Helenius as a guy that can contribute for Anarchia. If they're gonna win bronze in that quote unquote battle for bronze, they're gonna need Helenius and Lungman and Niederbach, those guys to really step up. Joel Mata is a 7th round pick, I think, for the Edmonton Oilers. Big centerman. He's playing up the depth chart for Finland. He's been their 2nd line center this tournament. He was probably down on the 4th line in December. So one of their returnees that is playing higher in the depth chart could be a contributor. He was putting up some points, scoring some goals in the pre-tournament games. So I don't think he has any points in the tournament yet, but he's an interesting one. They did get back their top 2D. We mentioned Lucas Cormier. The other one being Brock Faber, the number 1 or number 2 defenseman for Team USA. He was the highest scoring returning defenseman for the Americans from last year's tournament. USA won gold back in 2021, and Brock Faber was their highest scoring defenseman on that roster. We looked at Valtacuña earlier. They have Luke Hughes. He had a goal and assist in the USA opener. He looks like the number 1 defenseman this year so far. But Brock Faber was just part of that Kevin Fiala trade, the key piece back to Minnesota when Fiala went to LA. And Brock Faber is going to play at the University of Minnesota, or is already there the last couple of years. So certainly a guy the Minnesota Wild thinks going to have some good offensive upside as a defenseman. And Anarchia is hoping he leads all defensemen in scoring in this tournament again. They drafted Jack Thompson from Canada. He's got a point or 2 in this tournament already, so he's had an impact. And again, really, Anarchia, the reason I gave them the edge for bronze was that Team Canada goaltending tandem. Is as long as Canada keeps winning, it's those are some nice bonus points from the win bonus and potential, knock on wood shutout bonus. So far so good for Grant. It's 4-0 Canada at the first intermission. But definitely having that Canada goaltending tandem with some firepower up front. They did lose William Eklund, but and they didn't really, you look at the guys they drafted in the supplementary draft. They didn't replace William Eklund. They didn't have a high pick. They took Jack Thompson with their top pick, but on the defense side. But they didn't really get a replacement up front. So their forwards aren't nearly as deep as they were in December. But still probably deep enough in their top 6 to compete for a medal if the goaltending carries Anarchia, and that's going to be the key, Canada's goaltending tandem. But I'll take a quick intermission here, and then we'll jump back in before the start of the second period and then take a look at some of the other medal contenders. I know Dean Millard picked Can West as his bronze winner. He had East End gold, Valtacuña silver, so he flipped those 2 on me. I had Valtacuña gold and East End silver, but they seem to be the consensus top 2 countries on paper, rosters on paper. And then, that battle for bronze, like I said, it could go 6-7 different ways. I ended up with Anarchia. Dean ended up with Can West. So we'll take a look at Can West when we come back. But I'll take a quick intermission here, and we'll see you soon. All right, quick break there, and we're back at it. So if you're here, if you're in the chat, if you have questions, obviously throw up some questions in the chat as well. Thoughts on the first period, thoughts on different players from Canada or Slovakia. If you want to talk the more competitive game from earlier today, Finland and Czechia, we can talk that game. Look ahead to the Americans and Switzerland tonight. Switzerland, has been playing. I look at Switzerland's opener, 3-2 against Sweden. That was 1-0 going into the third period for Sweden. They scored, and that was a late second period goal. It was 0-0 for the longest time. Sweden had 2 goals in the first minute of the third period, made it 3-0. And you thought, okay, the floodgates are opening. Switzerland pushed back and got that game to a 3-2 result. So they'll give the Americans a bit of a test tonight, but the Americans have a lot of firepower. Offensively, they are missing Matty Beniers. They are missing Jake Sanderson on the back end, Drew Camiso in goal. So kind of their best player at every position. But overall, hockey in the States is getting better and better, and the depth for their national program is getting better and better. So there's still a lot of talent on that team, a lot of firepower up front. We mentioned, obviously, Matthew Nyes and Brett Berard here for Anarchia. When we look at Can West, the country that Dean Millard picked for bronze, there's Can West, and they actually are the country that lost Matty Beniers, and they had a chance, potentially in the first round, to draft Thomas Bordeleau as the replacement for Matty Beniers, which would have almost been a somewhat fair trade-off, but they went with the younger guy, Liam Ongren from Sweden, who replaced William Eklund for Sweden. And some people go, okay, well, Ongren's first-round pick for Minnesota, but why are you taking Liam Ongren over Thomas Bordeleau? Well, Thomas Bordelow's one and done in this UFWJ tournament. He's not likely going to be available at the Christmas tournament. He might even be a 2002 born, so he might not even be eligible to play at Christmas. But even if he is, he's likely going to be playing pro and may not be loaned back. I'll double check that while we're here so I get that right. But I'm pretty sure Bordelow's a 2002. Yeah, he is a 2002. So Thomas Bordeleau was a one and done regardless. He's not eligible to return in December. Liam Ongren is a 2004, if I'm not mistaken. He was just drafted in the first round this year. Pretty sure he's a 2004. What do we got here? Yeah, he's a 2004. So you know what that means. He can play in 3 tournaments for Can West. So that's the decision. You got Thomas Bordeleau, who you know is going to be a star in this tournament, might even lead the tournament in scoring, but he's one and done. This is the Dynasty League. Or do you take Liam Ongren, who you get in August, you get him again in December, and you likely get him next December as well. So 3 tournaments of Liam Ongren's probably a better pick than 1 tournament of Thomas Bordeleau, even though Bordeleau would have probably been a better replacement 1-for-1 for Matty Beniers. But they followed up with Joshua Roy in the second round. Great pick there. Stole him right out from underneath Anarchia. Anarchia was 2 picks later in the second round. They were eyeing Arnie is a huge Josh Roy fan. They obviously had him at the top of their list of targets. Can West snags him a couple picks ahead of Anarchia. And as mentioned, Josh Roy, he doesn't have a point in this game in the first period, but he's flanking Bedard and McTavish on that top line. So he'll likely get his share of points in this tournament. So yeah, definitely a good start with Liam Ongren and Josh Roy in the supplementary draft. But they had some good returnees as well. Guys like Oscar Olason, Ville Koivunen, who we mentioned plays with big Samuel Helenius and Brad Lambert, who scored in Finland's opener. They also have Finland's top or projected top offensive defenseman, Topi Nimela, Toronto Maple Leafs prospect. So that's a good-looking returnee on the back end. They drafted Jacob Truscott from the Americans, who's got some offensive ability. He's been in the lineup for Team USA. And then, as mentioned, they have Simon Latkoczy as their goaltender. Unfortunately, Latkoczy, can't really fault him on too many of those goals, but Slovakia is down 4-0 to Canada after this first period. So tough start for Simon Latkoczy, but he's a good goaltender. He's been good for Slovakia in international play. If Slovakia is going to, obviously they're expected to make the quarterfinals, but if they're going to pull an upset in this tournament, it's likely going to be because of Latkoczy's goaltending. But it's not going to be today. As mentioned, Canada's got a 5-on-3 for over a minute 15 to start the second period still. So Latkoczy's got to shut the door here to keep it 4-0. This could be 5 or 6-0. Could be a blowout before we know it. But he made some big saves in the first period, including one off Bedard. But no real chance on the 4 goals. Bedard, Will Cooley, Brennan Othman, and Olin Zellweger. Zellweger was a bit of a weird one through traffic. Just sort of eluded Latkoczy late in the first period. Will Cooley was a breakaway 5-hole that maybe he would like to stop. Maybe that's a 50-50 save he could make. But no chance on Othman and no chance on obviously Connor Bedard's goal. But the goaltending stats won't look too pretty for Latkoczy through the first period here for Can West. But overall, again, you look at some of these rosters, and this is one of them that's in that battle for bronze. And speaking of a roster that's performing well, let's take a look at Scoreway, because Scoreway was entered today only 1.82 fantasy points behind East End for the top of the standings. They're sitting, you look at the standings, and you got Scoreway right there with East End at the top. So East End's 1.82 fantasy points ahead of Scoreway, and then we've already looked at Valtacunia in third. So we'll look at we'll look at Scoreway, and then we'll take a look at Monstopia here hopefully before this power play resumes. But quick look at Scoreway. They lost Alexander Holtz, and they had Juraj Slafkovsky. So we're talking about that. Who's missing for Slovakia? The first overall pick in this year's NHL draft, Juraj Slafkovsky. Some comparisons to almost a Leon Draisaitl type player throughout his draft year. He sort of became more that type of player with some good playmaking ability and scoring. So obviously they'd like to have Juraj Slafkovsky, as well as obviously Alexander Holtz was going to be one of their ringers. And their goaltender was Jakub Malik, who was going to be the starter for Czechia. Ahead of Jan Bednar, likely, was the way it was looking in December, and Malik's not back either. So in goal, they got the Latvian starter from their first game anyway. Bruno Bruveris was their goaltender they picked up, but they grabbed Nathan Gaucher and Riley Kidney from Canada in the supplementary draft. Kidney played in the opener against Latvia. He's out today, replaced by Brendan Othman, who we've seen scored the third goal for Canada. They also grabbed Gabriel Stutz in the supplementary draft, and Stutz, again, a guy that plays here in Kelowna. He had the game-winning goal for Czechia's win over Slovakia, 5-4, late in the third period. Great individual effort for Gabriel Stutz of Scoreway, and a lot of things have been coming up Scoreway through 2 full days of the World Juniors. Joakim Kemmel, talk about a debut for Finland. He had a 4-point performance, 2 goals, 2 assists, game-winning goal there. Brad Lambert also scored in that game. Jan Mysak scored a couple goals in this tournament already as Czechia's captain, certainly driving the offense for Czechia. And then you go down the list. Alexander Blank last night, hat-trick, 4-point performance. He put up, had the game-winning goal. Germany beat Austria 4-2. Blank had, again, 3 goals, 1 assist. He was in on every goal for Germany. And just, he put up 15 points, some fantasy points last night. And I got the total here. We can take a look. Where did he have? He was our forward of the day yesterday. Yeah, 15.95 fantasy points. That's the most of any player through 2 days of the tournament. So Alexander Blank had an awesome game for Germany yesterday. Or last night, it was the nightcap against Austria. Obviously the biggest point total through 2 days went to Alexander Blank of Scoreway. That's why they're right up there with East End. Oh, what a play here. Backdoor, back and forth pass on the doorstep for Canada as they look to make this 5-0 in the first minute of the second period here. Another... Did he stop that? Oh, wow. Big save for Latkoczy there on a one-timer. I think that was Mason McTavish's shot. No, Ken Johnson with the shot. So East End almost had one, but Canada's power plays, it's pick your poison. There's Johnson across to Stankoven. Nearly scores, stopped, and then a one-timer from Kent Johnson also stopped. So we were looking at Can West. They obviously had Logan Stankoven and Tyson Forster, their 2 go-to guys for Canada, and that's maybe why Dean likes them for bronze as well. But Stankoven and Dean's own guy from East End, Kent Johnson, getting stopped here early on this 5-on-3. But it's all Canada to start this second period on the 5-on-3, as you can imagine. There's been a few grade A chances. Johnson walking in again There it is. So big save by Lacoste. He stops Johnson. Rebound goes out to Logan Stankoven, and he has the whole other side of the net to shoot at. Makes no mistake, 5-on-3 goal, and it's 5-0 Canada. Logan Stankoven of Can West. Power play goal. Kent Johnson will get 1 assist. I think it might have been Lucas Cormier back at the point. Or is that Zellweger? So it's Bedard back to Cormier. Yeah, so Lucas Cormier of Anarchia will get the second assist. So this goal is going to be Stankoven from Can West with the goal. Kent Johnson of East End and Cormier, Lucas Cormier from Anarchia will have the assist. So you got Can West scoring from East End and Anarchia. 3 different countries factor in for that goal. Still 20 seconds to go on the power play here for Canada. It says 2-man advantage still, so if that's the case, that means there was a delayed penalty coming there for Slovakia. It still is showing it. They only have 3 skaters out there, so on they go with this 5-on-3 as Canada works it around, looking for another one. They're obviously not playing their top units anymore. They're just kind of rolling it over. This might be the second unit, but now it's a full minute 30 to go on a 5-on-4 still, as Canada looks to make it 6-0. The shots are 19-11 in favor of Canada, but this is obviously a big game for Canada. And one team that doesn't have any Canadian players, or sorry, I lied. They didn't in the first edition. They do have Nathan Gaucher, who is the 13th forward for Canada today. He's dressed, but he's not taking a regular shift on a line. He was on the 4th line in the opener, but Brennan Othman bumped him off tonight. But yeah, so Scoreway's not going to get a lot of points in this game. But again, talking about last night and that monster game they got from Alexander Blank, as well as Senna Peters, who's the go-to guy for Austria. He drives the offense for Austria. He had a goal and an assist in that game too. So that game was 4-2 for Germany. Alexander Blank of Scoreway from Germany was in on all 4 German goals. And Senna Peters from Scoreway was in on both of the Austria goals. So, yeah, huge night for Scoreway in that game with the 2 go-to guys for Germany and Austria both being on Scoreway. But you don't see any too much Canadian content here as Canada racks it up on another power play here, up 5-0. Lucas Cormier teeing one up from the point. Bedard's back out here on this power play, so we'll see if Canada tries to get it to 6 and then just rolls the lines or what the plan is here. But again, these guys haven't played together. This is only their second game together, so they're trying to get sharp, get crisp, and also in this tournament, goals for and against. If there's a tie at the top of the standings, goals for and against can determine seeding. So you don't want to really let off the gas in case you need that extra goal. But Canada pushing for the 6-0 goal here on the power play. Looks like Slovakia gets a clear, and that'll do it for the power play. But Canada did score on the 5-on-3 to start this second period. Goal from Logan Stankoven, assisted by Kent Johnson and Lucas Cormier to make it 5-0. And there's another one. That looked into me, but obviously the ref was right there and waved it off. Must hit the post, but close to another one for Team Canada. That would have been Bedard again. What a shot. I'm pretty sure that was Bedard, but yeah, far post on Lacoste, and must have been posting out. But yeah, definitely there's Nathan Gaucher might be his first shift of the game or one of his earlier shifts of the game, but somebody from Scoreway. We were talking about Monstopia a little bit. We can go up and check out their roster. Like I said, they got a pretty cool flag here as well. Very creative country. This is Jeremy Plamondon, Mike Moore, the LeBlanc family. Gabe Foley's involved as their GM with Alex LeBlanc. So yeah, lots of front office personnel, ownership group here with Monstopia. They had a lot of losses from December, but they returned their top 2 D, Simon Edmondson of Sweden and David Jurasek of Czechia, as well as obviously they got 3 starting goaltenders in this tournament. All 3 of their goalies started yesterday. Jesper Wallstad for Sweden, Noah Patnode for Switzerland. That was a head-to-head matchup. Who do you take? in goal, because saves is gonna rack up some points for Switzerland, certainly, and they went with Wallstad out of the three, and it was the right decision. Florian Bugel also got them a win from Germany, but he was on the bench. Again, you have three goalies. You only start one per day, and that was Bedard who ripped one off the post, off the rush there behind Lacozi. Nathan Gaucher took a penalty. One thing to note, penalty minutes are not a category in UFWJ. The countries decided they didn't want penalty minutes. Mainly, big save there from Dylan Garand, glove save off Roman Faith. So Canada's goaltender up to 13 saves now for Anarchia, but that was probably his biggest save of the night so far on this Slovakian power play. Glove save off a nice shot from Faith. So good stop by Dylan Garand of the Kamloops Blazers and Anarchia in UFWJ. But where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, so Florian Bugel and Jesper Wallstad both had wins. Noah Patno put up a nice stat line in defeat in that 3-2 loss to Sweden. But overall, when you look at the stat line of the three starting goaltenders for Monstopia yesterday, they made the right decision. Started their number one guy, Jesper Wallstad. He had 7.25 fantasy points, which was more than Patno and Florian Bugel. So well played by the Monstopia brass, going with their number one guy, Wallstad. And he's going to be a big part if they're going to challenge for bronze, because you look at this forward group, they're very depleted. But in saying that, they took William Dufour with their top pick in the second round, and he had a goal and assist. I think he had 6 shots for Canada in the opener against the win over Latvia yesterday. So he's been quiet today. I haven't noticed William Dufour really through first half of this game, but he was an impact player for Canada yesterday in their opening win over Latvia. So big performance there for Monstopia. Jonathan Lekaramaki hasn't really been on the score sheet yet for Sweden. Young guy, he actually was just promoted to this World Junior roster this summer. So a guy that wasn't necessarily expected to be on the team, but with guys like Alexander Holtz and William Eklund not there, Lekaramaki and Liam Ogren get to come up and play. And there you see McTavish. Looked like he was going to try. He kind of whiffed on it, but he was going to try the lacrosse goal there. So up 5-0, and McTavish thinks about the lacrosse goal. But again, I mean, you're playing to get into this tournament, and you can't really let up. You got to keep going, even though regardless of the score, because you're playing for something bigger at the end of the tournament. You want to be firing on all cylinders. So Canada up 5-0. McTavish goes for the lacrosse goal, doesn't quite get the scoop, and then just turns it into a wraparound. And the guys are giving him a hard time. You can see he's kind of laughing it off, heading off the ice. But Mason McTavish has been an impact player for Canada, playing on a line with Connor Bedard and their teammates for Velta Cunha and UFWJ. So. But again, looking at Monstopia, that defense is really strong. They actually, so we had to do a supplementary draft 3.0 for guys that got cut at the end, and they actually picked up the Latvian captain, Ralf Bergmanis, and he's led Latvia in ice time. He's their captain, and he's led them in ice time in both their losses so far. So Bergmanis is definitely a guy that is playing well for Latvia and logging big minutes. That's turning into fantasy points. And speaking of Mason McTavish, he's on the board. It's 6-0 Canada. Not even halfway through the second period. Their captain, Mason McTavish, he doesn't get the lacrosse goal, but he gets one here. Turnover up the ice. McTavish breaking in alone. And he wants to make amends for duffing that muffing that lacrosse attempt. He just takes a look, but he's keeping this, and he just snaps one blocker side on Simon Lacozi. 6-0 Canada. Chalk up another goal for Velta Cunha and UFWJ. George Batchel and his son Kevin Batchel and Jope. They're loving this game for Canada. Big time point production for Velta Cunha and UFWJ. Again, we're looking at Monstopia here. Matt Coronado could have a big game against Switzerland tonight. Justin Volek, forward for Germany, actually was their leading point getter yesterday. He had 2 assists. He's playing on a line with Alexander Blank. Had 2 assists, had some. They were both on the power play, I think, and had a bunch of shots on goal. But he actually had 8.55 fantasy points yesterday. So you need some contributions here if you're Monstopia from some of these depth forwards if you're gonna compete for a medal, and certainly Justin Volek helped them into 4th place through 2 days in the medal standings. In addition to obviously guys like Jesper Wallstad and William Dufour, I mentioned had a big game yesterday against Latvia for Canada. But Dylan Garand looking confident here for Anarchia. Snags another one. I think that's 15 shots for Slovakia. So Garand's getting to get a nice stat line here. And Simon Lakosi, not necessarily. He's allowed 6 goals on, I think, 23 shots so far. 6-0 Canada halfway through this second period. As mentioned, though, Slovakia is in the midst of a resurgence. They're becoming a much stronger international competitor for hockey. They won bronze at the Olympics. Juraj Slafkovsky was the Olympic MVP. He had 7 goals in that tournament. Big reason why he went ahead of Shane Wright, first overall in this year's draft. But yeah, certainly Juraj Slafkovsky's not at this tournament. Neither is Simon Nemec, who was a 2nd overall pick in the draft behind his countryman, his compatriot Slafkovsky. Simon Nemec, a defenseman for the New Jersey Devils. They have Luke Hughes here in this tournament, who is a top 5 pick as a defenseman, but they don't have Simon Nemec in the tournament, who's actually a year younger than Hughes. Nemec skipped the tournament. And then Philip Mazar, the other young gun up front. So if you had Slafkovsky, Mazar up front with Dvorsky and Petrovsky and some of these other guys, Sikora, and then you also had, Simon Nemec as a real leader on the back end, I think you'd see a much different Slovakia team here today, and this could be a different game because they're missing arguably or likely their 3 best players off this roster. And then Canada's missing, Shane Wright and Owen Power and Dylan Guenther and Jake Neighbors. The list goes on and on what Canada could have here too. But Slovakia is becoming a stronger country internationally. They're in a resurgence, and this isn't a great showing for them today. Down 6-0 to Canada. We're not even halfway through the second period. Game's not half over yet. Canada attacking in waves. Maybe Canada didn't have the best opener against Latvia, 5-2 win. I don't know if they saved some for Slovakia, but they certainly are playing a better version of Team Canada today. We're seeing as they're up 6-0, and again, Simon Lakosi's a capable goaltender for Slovakia, but he's in tough against the Bedards and the McTavishes and Brennan Othman with a wicked one-timer. A lot of firepower for Team Canada, and Simon Lakosi can't stop them all. He hasn't stopped many. He's got 16 saves on 22 shots. He's allowed 6 goals. So tough outing for Simon Lakosi thus far. So maybe a little surprising, actually, could bring that up, that Slovakia hasn't changed goaltenders, because you're not going to rally from a 6-0 deficit against Canada, let's be honest. And you got bigger games to come, because when you look at Slovakia's schedule, they lost to Czechia in the opener, almost got a point out of that game, but they didn't. They lost in the last minute or two, late winning goal there. And so now you look, Slovakia's got to play Latvia tomorrow on Friday. So why wouldn't you take Lakosi out now and rest him? And then get him back in there tomorrow against Latvia. And that's kind of a must-win game for Slovakia all of a sudden. I mean, they're probably pretty confident against Latvia, but, Latvia only lost to Canada 5-2, and Slovakia is down 6-0, not even halfway into this game. So Latvia might give Slovakia a good game tomorrow. They shouldn't. They might want to rest their number one goaltender, Lakosi, and try and get him a win tomorrow against Latvia. And then they close it out. Where do they close? They got Finland on Sunday. Lakosi's going to play that game for sure. The morning game on Sunday is their finale. So they got Finland on Sunday, and they got Latvia tomorrow. And so they're probably not going to beat Finland. Realistically. So they gotta They might have made a goaltending change here. I'm just looking. That might not be Latkozy in there anymore. We'll see here soon. They might have made a change and it never got announced, or I missed it. But definitely the fact they play Latvia tomorrow, you want Latkozy rested because you lost to Czechia. You're likely going to lose to Finland, and you're definitely losing to Canada. So Latvia is your only chance. If you don't beat Latvia tomorrow, you're not going to the medal round. You won't be in the quarterfinals. And obviously that would be a big setback for Slovakia, that they've been, a medal contender in a lot of tournaments lately, whether it's the men's worlds or the Olympics, or, if they had their full lineup here, they would have been a dark horse to medal in this World Juniors. So yeah, hopefully they rest Latkozy and get him in there tomorrow against Latvia in what will be a must-win game for Slovakia to make the quarterfinals. And Can West, I don't know if they want Latkozy out, and well, they want him to start tomorrow. Let's put it that way. Although I think Can West, when we look at their roster, I'm pretty sure no, they don't have any other I thought maybe they had Slovakia tandem, but they don't. They only have Latkozy. Their other goaltenders are from Switzerland and Latvia. So as far as Can West medal hopes go, they need Slovakia in those quarterfinals, and they need Latkozy getting them some win points over Latvia tomorrow. But you never know with the European teams. Maybe they are going to let a different goaltender start tomorrow, because now Latkozy's lost to Czechia with 5 goals against. He's allowed 6 against Canada. Do they give a different goaltender a look against Latvia tomorrow? That might be interesting as Canada comes in barreling in on another full steam breakaway. Lost control of the puck a little bit. That was Othman again. So Brennan Othman, Republic of the Seven Seas, is having an active game. Had a clear-cut breakaway there. Bobbled it a little bit, but still got off a decent shot. And if that's Latkozy still in goal, it was a decent save, but he kind of bobbled the puck on the breakaway. Shots are only 25-17. Dylan Garand just got another touch there for Anarchia. So again, they got a win from Sebastian Kosa yesterday, 5-2 over Latvia. Now today they got Dylan Garand in net, and if Anarchia is going to contend for a medal, they need these wins from Canada's goaltending tandem, and need Garand and Kosa to be strong throughout the tournament. We assume that Garand's the guy now. He's going to play the rest of this tournament. They won't go back to Kosa unless Garand falters. So their big game will be Monday, and we'll be right back here on the UFSN network or the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Twitch channel, doing another UFWJ watch party for that game on Monday, Canada versus Finland. We're not expecting a 6-0 blowout on Monday. That's going to be a much closer game. So looking forward to Monday's watch party. Canada-Finland, that'll close out the preliminary round. And so you're definitely expecting a good game, Canada-Finland. Potential preview of the gold medal game as well, depending on the playoffs and the crossover. They could meet again for gold potentially. Canada-Finland. That's how I had my predictions. I had Canada-Finland in the final. I actually took Finland. I think Finland, with their strong returnees and getting Ratty as a ringer, if Merilainen plays well in goal, I think they're the only country that could challenge Canada, potentially beat Canada for gold. And then I have the Swedes, backstopped by Jesper Wallstad, winning bronze over the Americans. Just basically going with the goaltender there, thinking that Sweden's goaltending stronger than the U.S. and thinking they can pull out a bronze medal in the World Juniors. But those will be good matchups the rest of the way as well. Oh, and there we go. Dean says Bolo is in now. So yeah, Thomas Bolo is the backup for Slovakia. Thanks, Dean. I figured they'd make a change knowing that they have Latvia tomorrow. It wouldn't make sense having Latkozy in there. And so yeah, so Thomas Bolo. And let's see who has Thomas Bolo in UFWJ. Goaltending. We got all our rosters here on a nice spreadsheet, easy to follow rather than scroll through. So you're actually looking at Scoreway. And like I said, they lost Jakub Malik from Czechia, was going to be their number one goaltender. He's not back. So they have Thomas Bolo, and he's in goal now for Slovakia, which makes sense because, like I said, you may as well save Simon Lecozzi. You play again tomorrow. Now a must-win game against Latvia to make the quarterfinals. So hopefully, getting torched a little bit, 5-6 goals against on Lecozzi. Hopefully, his confidence isn't shattered and he can turn around and have a strong outing against Latvia and get Slovakia the win they need to get into the quarterfinals. So that's what they'll be hoping for. Republic of the Seven Seas. They had the number 1 overall pick in December as well as in the supplementary draft. We mentioned they took Brennan Othman to replace Matvey Mishkov, who they lost. 17 out of 25 players, including all 8 defenders, were lost here for Republic of the Seven Seas, just decimated. But the one guy they got back as a returnee, Levi Merilainen, he's 2-0 in goal for Finland. He might be the first goaltender to win 2 games at this year's tournament anyway, and the go-to guy for Finland in goal. So Merilainen's going to be a big impact player for Finland for sure, as well for the Republic of the Seven Seas. And I think they might entertain a trade there. I believe they've already thrown out Merilainen's name. So we'll see how Caden Mbereko does for the U.S. and for Valta Cunha. But some of these contenders, and again, we look at the standings here through 2 days. Valta Cunha's in third, Scoreway. They have Thomas Bolo in goal for Slovakia right now, but they could really use a goaltender. If they added a guy like Merilainen, all of a sudden you're looking at Scoreway as, a likely medal country in UFWJ. So, but what would that take? Do they, does Republic of the Seven Seas, do they say we need Brad Lambert or somebody like that back in order to, or, a good future player? Like, what are they looking for, from Scoreway in order to give up a guy like Levi Merilainen? Certainly it's going to be futures, guys that'll be there in December and future years, and maybe a draft pick, first or second rounder in December of the new players that'll be at the December tournament. That's the way it works for the annual draft, is reverse order of standings from this summer draft. Whoever finishes 10th will have the first pick in every round of the annual draft until the rosters are full. So if you have 15 returnees, you draft in rounds 1 to 10 until you get to 25. And if you were 10th place out of the 10 countries this summer, you would draft first in all 10 rounds then. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the trades factor in, but Merilainen's name's out there as a potential goaltender that could be available, and we already seen Valta Cunha make a move for a goaltender, adding Caden Mbereko from Midgard. So we'll see if Merilainen gets traded, or if Republic of the Seven Seas, who, as you see here, aren't far off the podium. They're in 5th place through 2 days. Maybe they hang on to Merilainen, who got him another win today. And speaking of which, we got a goal. We got Slovakia on the board. It's 6-1. So I might have jinxed Dylan Garand, but he's not getting a shutout for Anarchia. And the rest of UFWJ rejoices with that goal. They didn't want the shutout bonus, the 2-point bonus for Garand. So Slovakia is on the board. Who scored that goal for them here? Is that, let's see, looks like 11 got it. But battle in the corner coming off the wall, and he just sort of takes it to the net, gets his own rebound. Nice play. Is that Matej Kazlik, or who do we got here? Number 11. Yeah, that's Matej Kazlik. This is a player I quite like. I had him ranked in the past 2 years for the NHL draft. He's been passed over twice. He's an import in the Q. Plays in the Quebec Major Junior League. I really like this player, and he scored 2 goals in Slovakia's opener. This is his 3rd goal of the tournament already for Matej Kazlik. So he's another guy that, going back to that Halinka for this age group a few years ago, that's where he really caught my eye, and I've liked him ever since. Twice undrafted, maybe 3rd time the charm for Matej Kazlik if he has another big year, but he's certainly playing well in this best-on-best competition as Slovakia gets a little bit of jump from that goal. Kazlik, I should know who has him in UFWJ. Where are you, Matej Kazlik? As Canada comes back and scores at the other end. There he is. Yukon Republic. That's one of the countries we haven't talked about yet. They had the 10th overall pick in every round, and Yukon Republic. It looks like Mason McTavish has his second of the game for Velta-Cunha. So Velta-Cunha is just, this is point night for Velta-Cunha at 7-1. I don't know if Bedard was in on this goal or not, but McTavish back-to-back goals. He's got goals 6 and 7. Looks like Lucas Cormier flips that puck out. Brennan Othman in on it, chases it down, drop past McTavish, cuts to the slot on the backhand, and backhand against the grain, top corner. Great goal. So that'll be Mason McTavish of Velta-Cunha from Brennan Othman of Republic of the Seven Seas. First overall pick in the supplementary draft. He's got himself a 2-point game. Goal and assist in his World Juniors debut. And the other one there is Lucas Cormier with that crazy flip pass to break it out. I think they might have been looking at goaltender interference or crease violation here maybe from Bedard. But looks like they're going to drop the puck. Yeah, it must be looking at a crease yeah, it is going to be a crease violation against Bedard, I think. So, nope. Probably should have been. They're supposed to blow the play dead in international hockey if your skates are in the crease, and Bedard definitely entered the crease before the puck did there. But nonetheless, 7-1 Canada. Lucas Cormier with his second assist of the game for... second assist in the game for Anarchia. All these players have multi-point performances now tonight. But Cormier had a power play assist on that 5-on-3, so he's had a big night. He's up to 6.5 points on defense for Anarchia, or probably more than that if he's got some shots on goal. But yes, good game for Anarchia defenseman Lucas Cormier. But Mason McTavish, that's his second straight goal. He tried the lacrosse move, and he probably didn't want to hear about that. He failed on that, so what does he do? He scores on a breakaway and then scores on an awesome backhander. Now everybody forgets that he tried and failed on the lacrosse attempt, but definitely Canada lighting it up. 7-1, Mason McTavish with his second goal of the game for Velta-Cunha, and Brennan Othman, as we see, Republic of the Seven Seas roster, Brennan Othman with his second point of the game in his World Juniors debut. Jeff Ray, Mick Bertoni, Mooch, they got to be loving that, because I know they weren't loving when Othman was a healthy scratch in the opener yesterday against Latvia. Like I said, first overall pick in the supplementary draft, ahead of a Ratty, ahead of Thomas Bordelot, ahead of Liam Ongren. Some other guys like that that were available. They went with Brennan Othman. Well, he's making them look good today with a goal and a nice assist here on Mason McTavish's second straight goal for Canada. So 7-1 Canada here midway through the second period. We got a compliment on my hair from UFF Sports. I'm guessing that'll be Andrea with noticing the haircut from yesterday. Figured we better freshen it up for the UFWJ watch parties. We got a few of them planned. We also have myself and Dean Millard will host another live show on the UFSN Ultimate Fantasy Sports Twitch channel on Tuesday. So this coming Tuesday, which is the off day between the preliminary round and the medal round, we'll recap where things stand in UFWJ, look ahead to preview the quarterfinals, potential medal round, semifinals, the medal games, and really take a look at, revisit our predictions and really see where things stand in UFWJ and how we think the second half of the tournament's going to go. Again, a penalty here to Canada. Penalty minutes aren't a category. Jack Thompson takes down his man. He was the top pick in the supplementary draft for Anarchia, so he's going to the box. Look, they're checking for blood, so I don't know if it'll be a 4-minute power play or just 2, but looks like just 2 minutes for high sticking for Jack Thompson. But again, penalty minutes, we decided, the countries decided they didn't want that as a category for UFWJ. Primarily because of the World Juniors. If you've been watching even this year, the amount of 5-minute majors in a game and check to the head, 2 and 10, it's been a common penalty, and you really don't want to see the guy that gets kicked out of the game on his second shift of the game ending up with more fantasy points than the guy that gets the hat trick, right? Just from that 10-minute misconduct. Or I think Luca Auer from, believe he's for Monstopia in UFWJ, but plays for Switzerland. Plays for Austria. You watched that game yesterday against Germany. He had a high-sticking double minor that was reviewed as a potential major in a game misconduct. Scary play there. That was actually on Alexander Blank. Got his stick up and almost like speared him in the neck or shoulder. And then later in the game, he had a knee-on-knee collision with Håkan Hanelt, another guy, a Washington draft pick that plays in the queue. But they went knee-on-knee. And again, I think Auer was just finishing his hit there, and Hanelt tried to jump around him a little bit. But he actually did get 5 in a game for that knee. So he would have had, I don't know how many fantasy points he would have had using the UFHL scoring system, which is a bit of a banger league. Penalty minutes and hits definitely have value there in the UFHL. No such value here in UFWJ. Penalty minutes aren't a category, but he did get a double minor, Auer did. So, 4 penalty minutes for the high stick, and then he got 15 penalty minutes, 5 in a game for the knee. So, do the math there. That's 19 penalty minutes for Luca Auer yesterday. He would have been our defender of the day yesterday. He would have been ahead of Olin Zellweger, who had the game-winning goal for East End, and emerged as the defender of the day yesterday. The Canadian defenseman Olin Zellweger. It would have been Luca Auer of Austria for all those penalty minutes if PIMS were a category. So I think some people are glad they're not a category, and if you have Luca Auer, maybe you're wishing they were a category. But certainly a contentious thing in UFHL, whether or not to lower penalty minutes, which they are trending down over a 3-year window, whether or not to lower hits. That's going to be a topic, at the end of the month. August 27th, 28th is the first round of off-season owner meetings. For the UFHL, it'll focus on scoring systems, scoring categories, and hits and penalty minutes. 10-minute misconducts are, again, topics of conversation on that agenda. So, but no penalties to worry about here as far as scoring system goes for UFWJ, but time on ice instead is a category here, and that's something that the UFHL owners also are proposing. Is it works in UFWJ. Look at Ralph's. What's his name now? I'm going to butcher it. The captain for Austria, captain for Latvia with, averaging 24 minutes a game, even with a couple penalties against Ralphs Bergmanis, I think's his name, but let's double check that. Monstopia got him. Ralphs Bergmanis, yeah, so remember that name. I mean, as far as Latvians go in the NHL, he's a guy that, there's a couple of guys there. Obviously, we're just looking at Republic of the Seven Seas. The one that I like, who plays for Medicine Hat in the Western League, is their last pick. They had 17 picks to make in the supplementary draft. The guy they took last, they might have saved one of their best for last, Bogdan Hodas, a defenseman from Latvia. He had an assist in the first game, and he scored a goal against Canada. So he's got 2 points in 2 games as a 17th round pick in the supplementary draft for Republic of the Seven Seas. But ice time's a big category, even though it's 0.05 fantasy points per minute. That adds up if you got guys that are playing over 20 minutes a game, like Ralphs Bergmanis for Monstopia. So something the country's had to be aware of, who are going to be the minute leaders, especially. Oh, here's a 2-on-0 for Canada. We'll see what they do here. Oh, that's McTavish hat trick. Velta Cunha, folks. Mason McTavish. If we hadn't forgot about his failed lacrosse attempt, we've definitely forgot about it now. He's got 3 goals in this second period, runs it up to 8-1 Canada. They can probably rest their captain, Mason McTavish, in the third period and really roll those other lines. But Connor Bedard just takes a huge hit in the neutral zone to make a play. And that's a funny play. Joshua Roy gives it up to Mason McTavish, knowing he has a chance at a hat trick. Roy basically didn't even put his stick on the ice to even consider accepting a pass back, and just basically pointed at McTavish and said, go ahead and finish this off. And he made no mistake. He's got a heavy shot, Mason McTavish. We're going to see it in the NHL for the Anaheim Ducks next season. But Velta Cunha, another 5-point play there. And we talked about Can West drafting Joshua Roy. That's his first point of the tournament, getting an assist for 2.5 fantasy points. So he's fitting well on that top line, but it really is the Mason McTavish, Connor Bedard show. And it's funny, when we were teasing the watch party today, we said, will Bedard score again? And will Mason McTavish break out as teammates for Velta Cunha? And that's exactly what we're seeing. Bedard opened the scoring for the second straight game. He scored the first goal for Canada yesterday against Latvia, scored the first goal for Canada today against Slovakia, and Mason McTavish is absolutely breaking out. He's got a hat trick in this second period as Canada scored 8 goals on 28 shots thus far. And we're into the final minute of the second period, and then the other part of that was, or will Simon Lakozy of Slovakia shut those two down? And Kent Johnson misses a wide open net there. East End's not happy about that. They want him to bear down and bury that backhander. But the other half of that question going into this game was, could Simon Lakozy potentially stand on his head and make this a 3-2 type game for Slovakia and for Can West? And we know the answer there. Simon Lakozy was pulled, believe it was after the 5th goal. So, pure hockey, no goon points, says Dean. So, but and Dean says, Edmonton fans haven't seen a Mac T have this much success since the 06 run. Yeah, no doubt. Craig McTavish was the head coach of the Oilers in that 2006 improbable Stanley Cup final run with Chris Pronger and Mike Pekka and Sergei Samsonov, Dwayne Rollison, all the guys they brought in for that run, in addition to, Hemsky and Smith and Horkoff and all the core group they had back then. That was a fun ride. But Mason McTavish is the McTavish of the hour with a hat trick here in the second period as we go into the intermission with Canada up 8-1. Great second period for Mason McTavish and for Velta Cunha. That is just, I don't know if they're leading the UFWJ standings at this point, but they're going to be right there with East End on the top, because East End had a pretty big game from Finland again. But you look at this game with Bedard and McTavish and Ridley Gregg, and Will Cooley's got a couple points, and I don't think Ethan Del Maestro has any points yet, but again, and now you're looking at the goaltending here. They had Carl Lindbaum. They made the only trade in UFWJ history to upgrade Lindbaum, who's number 3 on the Swedish depth chart, probably won't play in the tournament. They acquired Caden Mareko from Midgard, who started the opener for Team USA. I don't know if he'll be their goaltender again tonight against Switzerland, or if he'll get the game against Sweden on Saturday. Their big finale to their, or Sunday, I guess. It's Sunday that Sweden and USA play. And that's so probably going to decide first place in that pool, whether that'll be Mareko or perhaps Remington Koppel, who obviously UCAN Republic selected. And we should take a look at UCAN Republic because they have some sneaky good players on this. This is another battle for bronze. UCAN Republic, don't forget about them. They had the last overall pick. They obviously had the Russian factor working against them because they lost their goaltending tandem. They had Yaroslav Askarov and Yegor Guskov. They replaced them with the American tandem. The two new guys for Team USA, Remington Koppel and Andrew Oki as their goaltending tandem. And they also lost Marek Kuznedinov as one of their number 1 centers, but we saw Roby Gerventi score in regulation and in the shootout earlier. Shootout goal doesn't count, but he got a goal earlier today. He's been good for the Finns. Jakub Demek in this game, he's the one that almost chokeslammed Connor Bedard. He's a big physical power forward. Matej Kazlik has the only goal for Slovakia today. He also scored twice in that opener. The 5-4 loss to Czechia, so Kazlik's been performing well for UCAN Republic. I think tomorrow they're going to be hoping that Fabian Lysell really steps up. He's playing for the WHL's Vancouver Giants. He was a real impact player, helped the Giants get out of the first round with an upset in the WHL playoffs. So certainly Fabian Lysell's a go-to guy for Sweden. Their defense has been productive. The Finnish defense, Alexei Hemosalmi, had 2 assists in the opener. I think he might have had 2 assists again today, at least 1 assist. So UCAN Republic, like I said, they're a bit of a dark horse for as far as the battle for bronze goes. But actually, you look at Germany yesterday. I know Mike Johnson highlighted him, but Bennett Romsey was or Rosmi was one of the better German forwards as well. And, Kos and Jedlicka are effective forwards for Czechia. So there's some depth here for UCAN Republic that they're going to chip away and try to get into that medal hunt, even though they picked last in every round. So who are we missing here? Midgard, we didn't talk about much. They're the country that maybe waved the white flag already. Going back to December, there was only 3 days of gameplay, and Midgard was bringing up the rear by a substantial margin. They had half as many points as the 9th country, and they were in 10th. So a bit of a tough start, but this was the one country that looked like they could have possibly been better at the 2.0 tournament than back in December. A lot of things were falling right for them, and Mabreko was number 3 on the depth chart in December. They actually took him in the second round, the same round that Drew Comesso went as the USA starter. And Dylan Silverstein was going to be the number 2 for the U.S. in December. While Comesso and Silverstein aren't back, Mabreko is the only returnee or the incumbent. And he started and won for Team USA in their opener yesterday. So all of a sudden, or Monday or Tuesday rather, so all of a sudden now it looks like Mabreko might be the number 1 goaltender for USA. Logan Cooley scored in the opener for the Americans, a really nice goal, showing off his high-end offensive skill set. They have Pert and Kaiser, who are both in the lineup for USA. Petteri Nurmi, I think he led Finland in ice time in the opener. He sort of plays, he's with Namel, I believe, on that top pairing, so he gets a lot of ice time. Kills penalties. William Wallender's played his way into a big role for Sweden. So they got some interesting players here, but again, they kind of waved the white flag early by trading away Caden Mabreko, so they don't really have a starting goaltender anymore. But in saying that, when you say that, they get the points for Caden Mabareko's win. They traded him technically before that USA game started, but Finland had already played that day, and the goaltending was already locked because Velta Cunha, who acquired Mabreko, already had Jakola, the number 2 goalie for Finland. They had already had him locked in as their starter when that trade went down. So Mabareko's win goes to Midgard. And then yesterday, Latvia played their number 2 goaltender in the back-to-back situation was Patrick Berzins, and he had a great game against Canada. Latvia only lost 5-2, whereas Canada's beaten Slovakia 8-1 tonight after 2 periods. So when I look at it that way, the goaltending points have been there for Midgard. And, a guy like Red Savage has been having a good tournament. Rai Savvy's going to get some points. They got some guys here that can contribute, but they're probably going to be, on paper, they're still the weakest country. But then you look to the protected list, because all these countries also have a 5-man protected list. And if you're looking at a guy you want protected for World Juniors to come over the next number of years, how about Aaron Kiviharju, who was probably the MVP of the Hlinka Gretzky Cup last week for Finland? Just an outstanding young defenseman, while Midgard has him at the top of their protected list. So you look at this defense, they got a lot of returning guys that'll be there again in December, and they might have Aaron Kiviharju might play in the World Juniors as early as this December. If not, he's probably going to play at least a couple years. Next December, the 2023 or 2024 tournament technically will be his draft year, where he could be the number 1 overall pick. He's trending that way. So that would be a huge tournament for him. Whether or not he got to play in 2 World Juniors or just 1 will kind of be the question mark for Aaron Kiviharju. But Midgard's got a bright future with him leading the way. But maybe this isn't going to be their year as far as this summer tournament goes, just the way they stack up. But again, Logan Cooley will likely be back in December. Like if they play their cards right now, they have an extra second-round pick by trading Caden Mabreko. And the way that works is come December, now, again, it's reverse order of standings. Everyone picks every round. Midgard has 2 second-round picks. Velta Cunha won't have a second-round pick. And that draft is for any new players that aren't at this summer's tournament and aren't already on reserve rosters. reserve lists, and the reserve lists are guys like Mishkov and the guys that were drafted for this tournament, the 2022 tournament, but obviously aren't here this summer. Even a guy like a Dylan Gunther, who's an 03, who will have a big role for Canada at the December tournament, but is injured and out for the summer tournament. Shane Wright, guys like that, right? So those guys will be back on rosters because their rights are already owned from the initial draft as far as the reserve list. But there's going to be still, probably 100 new players again, if not more, in December. And Midgard might have the first overall pick there, where you look at this summer, Atu Ratty, Thomas Bordeleau, like there could be guys of that caliber. I believe Adam Fantilli's on a protected list, but guys like that, right? There's going to be some big name guys potentially available for Midgard to sort of retool around. And again, being a dynasty league, if you're not going to win now, you're going to try to build to win later. And they do have Aaron Kimi Harju, so that's a great chip. We talked about Scoreway and their finish forwards with Kemmel and Lambert, and getting a lot of depth scoring from the top players from Germany and Austria, Blank and Peters. That was big. They're the two defensemen from Sweden, Andre and Grons. Grons has looked great in this tournament. He's really stepping up. Young guy, Pateras Bulins. He's not in the lineup for Latvia. He's like a 16-year-old, I think. He might even be a 2024 draft or 2024 draft, I think. Real young guy, but he's got some promise. Again, this is the Dynasty League, so now Scoreway has him as long as Latvia stays in the top division. There is no relegation, so Latvia will be back in December, and then we'll see if they do relegation the following year. But they're going to get at least 2 tournaments out of a really good, young, talented player, and they also drafted him as an open market guy, so if he becomes a draft prospect that the NHL teams are looking at in the mid-rounds or wherever he'll project, if he gets drafted into the UFHL through the entry auction, Scoreway would actually get a kickback there for having his rights. They would get 90% of the sales. So a pretty astute pick there by Scoreway. But again, Scoreway entering today, you look at the standings, Scoreway's number 2, less than 2 full points behind East End. The way today's played out so far, just off the top of my head, Valtacuna's had a monster day. They got to be right up there at the top. And East End, again, has had a strong day from Finland and Canada. So right now, I'm thinking you're probably looking at the 1-2 that both myself and Dean Millard predicted, Valtacuna and East End. We'll see tomorrow. We do next day stat updates once everything's finalized for IHF. But and we still have USA against Switzerland tonight that could shake things up. But right now, that 1-2 Valtacuna East End is certainly looking like it's coming to fruition through 2/3 of the way through day 3. Scoreway, though, is going to be right there in the mix. Monstopia is still taking a run at it, and then go up and down the list. UCAN Republic's at the bottom right now, but they're going to chip away. I wouldn't rule them out getting into that 5-6, maybe even into the 3-4 range. Like, it's going to be these scores are going to tighten up a lot by the end of that preliminary round. And again, Monday's the final day of the preliminary round, Tuesday's an off day, and then Wednesday's quarterfinals, Friday's semifinals, and Saturday's the gold medal games. The 20th, I believe, is a Saturday. Let's double check that. Yeah, that is. So the semis are on a Friday, the 19th, and the gold medal game, bronze medal game are on Saturday, the 20th. So this tournament will go fast. Today's Thursday. Next Saturday, we're playing the gold medal game already. Basically, the way they always stack the World Juniors, they do this at Christmas too. Usually Boxing Day has some really good opening games. This summer tournament, because Russia's not here, it's a little bit, the schedule's a little bit watered down. The opening day was Czechia and Slovakia, and then the late game was U.S. and Germany. That would have normally probably been, U.S. and Russia, which would have been a barn burner. So the schedule doesn't really get serious until Sunday. Sunday is when U.S. plays Sweden, and Finland plays Slovakia. But USA Sweden, that's probably going to decide first place in that pool on Sunday night, the nightcap. And then on Monday, the middle game is Canada-Finland, and that's probably going to decide first place in this pool, most likely, because Finland did beat Czechia in a shootout today. So unless Czechia upsets Canada tomorrow, or where are we here? Saturday. Canada-Czechia on Saturday. Unless Czechia upsets Canada, that game on Monday, Canada-Finland, will be for first place in their pool. And then Tuesday's the off day. Me and Dean will regroup. We'll set the stage for the medal round. We'll talk lots of World Juniors. We'll also talk lots of UFWJ, where the standings are. And then when you really got to think about, okay, now you got 2 countries out. 2 teams are done on Monday. 2 of the countries in the World Juniors. They're not going to play in the quarterfinals, the bottom 2. So whoever has the most players from those bottom 2, I know Dean always says games played are currency, and they are in a total points UFWJ as well. So if we get to Tuesday and let's just say Austria and Latvia aren't playing, if you have lots of guys from Austria and Latvia, then you're not going to get the man games. Ice time counts. Everything counts, right? So then those guys are out. Then you go to the quarterfinals. Okay, what are the matchups for the quarterfinals? Who's Switzerland playing? Who's Germany playing? Like, if they're going to be out in the quarterfinals, then okay. And then, even Slovakia is not looking too strong today. So you start just doing the math. And if you think it's going to be, Canada, Finland in one pool and Sweden, USA in the other pool, making it to the semis, then you're starting to look, okay, who has the most players from those 4 countries? Because they're going to get 2 extra games played. They're going to get the semifinal game, and they're going to get a medal game, whether it's for gold or bronze. Those countries that make the final 4 in a total points tournament that goes from opening day to the gold medal game, whoever has the most players from those 4 countries is likely going to, just based on numbers, is going to climb the standings. So the Godfathers asking, when is the trade deadline? And the Godfathers are the Gumpa Group. They're part owners, or are the owners, of UCAN Republic. And the trade deadline is Tuesday night, end of day on Tuesday. So the quarterfinals start Wednesday. I want to say there's going to be a morning game, or probably like maybe noon Eastern type game, something like that. But the deadline for trades is going to be end of day, so we'll say like midnight Eastern or whatever, midnight Pacific on Tuesday. So if your trades aren't in by Tuesday night, on that off day between the preliminary round and the medal round, when we wake up on Wednesday morning, the rosters are final going into the medal round. So you got to get your trades done by Tuesday night, which is an off day. The preliminary round ends on Monday. Tuesday's the off day. Maybe we'll have some trades to discuss and break on the UFHL Now special episode, medal round preview. UFWJ preview for the medal round. Certainly, maybe we'll have some trades there on Tuesday during that live show to discuss. But a bit difficult to make trades with the current setup of UFWJ, because you got to keep the rosters and the protected list in check. So everybody has 5-man protected list. Everybody has a 25-man roster. If you trade a forward, you got to take a forward back. If you trade a future, you got to take a future back. That's where those draft picks in December really come in with the first and second round. I mean, value of a first round pick, getting a second, 2 picks in the top 10 of new guys that are coming into the tournament in December. And if Liam Olgren wasn't here in the summer, he would have been one of those picks in December, right? Like guys like that, there's going to be some pretty high-end guys coming in December, and especially with no Russia, there's these same 10 countries are going to be back, but they'll have some new players on all the rosters. Some of them will already be on protected lists that are currently on protected lists, but some will be new players, and having 2 picks in the top 10 there could really give you a boost, depending who you have for returnees from this summer tournament. But yeah, trades will need to be in by Tuesday night, end of day Tuesday, in order to switch things up for the medal round. And again, that may be depending where you're sitting, going into Monday's final day of the preliminary round. If you don't think you can make a run at a medal, maybe you decide there's going to be some teams that want to challenge the Velt Acuñas and the East Ends, and somebody's going to want to step up and be the favorite for bronze, or like I said, perhaps go for gold yet. I mean, you could make a big blockbuster. You could give up your first round pick and your number one protected list guy and take back 2 bad forwards for 2 ringers. You could get, whatever the case, you could get Logan Cooley and somebody else from Midgard, or who knows, right? There's ways that you could add a couple bodies and go from a middle of the pack to a potential gold medal contender. But again, it's a short tournament, so the sooner you make the trades, the more games you get from the players you're acquiring, the better chance you have of making your way up the standings and medaling. But we see the standings change quite a bit from day to day, and you'll see it again. We're looking at the standings. You'll see it again tomorrow. There will be some pretty big changes, and I don't think East End's going too far from the top, but Velt Acuña is going to try and get up there. And Velt Acuña still got the U.S. game tonight. They're having a big game here from Canada, but they also have, Bordeleau and Luke Hughes, and those guys are playing Switzerland tonight. You look at, again, the Velt Acuña lineup with their Americans. Those are the 2 big ones, but they have some other Americans, I believe, as well. Landon Slager, Dominic James. So they're going to get some points out of Tyler Clevin on defense. And maybe Caden Mabreko might play again tonight against Switzerland. So Velt Acuña could have 5-6 more guys going yet tonight for Team USA. So it's going to be a big day for Velt Acuña. Assuming USA, I don't know if they're going to put up this kind of a 8-1 type score against Switzerland, because Sweden got played very tough by Switzerland, a 3-2 game yesterday, and Switzerland was in that game from start to finish. But USA's got a lot of firepower. If they light it up tonight like Canada is here, there's a crossbar for Canada, almost a goal on the backhand for Bedard. Canada's skating circles here, so it's fun to watch if you're a Canadian fan. But like I said, this is the Slovakia without their top 3 players. So if Slavkovsky, Nemitz, and Mazar were here, this would be a lot more competitive game. But what were we going to look at? USA tonight, Velt Acuña. Can't remember where I was going with that. I had something I was going to look up. But yeah, definitely Velt Acuña could have a big day here if USA lights up Switzerland tonight. They're looking strong. East End, who obviously is our standings leader, they have Charlie Stramel, the young American. I think that might be their only Team USA player. Yeah. Not sure if they have much from Switzerland. Noah Delamont, but he's hurt. Don't know if he'll play tonight. I think they're saving him, hoping he'll be healthy to play their must-win games later in the week when they need a win in order to get to the quarterfinals. They know they're probably not going to beat the Americans, so they might rest him again. But Charlie Stramel is another 2023 guy. We obviously are watching Bedard in this game. Dalibor Dvorsky, number 15 for Slovakia. He hasn't had a great game. Haven't noticed him a whole lot as we watch Bedard, that was Josh Roy who rips this one off the post. So Can West, Josh Roy's second-round pick. He has an assist in this game. He almost had his first in the tournament. But yeah, he's been noticeable tonight. But yeah, we haven't noticed Dalibor Dvorsky that much. The young Slovak forward. That's a 2023 draft. But Charlie Stramel is another one of those forwards for 2023 for East End. Their only American player, and he doesn't have a big role because he's an underage guy in this tournament. Probably a third, fourth line guy, maybe even 13th forward for Team USA. But a very interesting player to watch if you're a scout. And our UFFS scouts are already starting to put together our preliminary rankings for that 2023 draft. That Halinka tournament last week is such a, here's Canada coming in with another one. Oh, man, McTavish, make it 4. Mason McTavish, bar down from the slot. Quick release and just rips it off another turnover. And the crowd that's there are liking it. And obviously, I don't know if George Batchel's in the crowd here tonight, but Mason McTavish, 4 goals in a row, I want to say, but he's up to 4 now. Tried a lacrosse move, failed miserably, scored 4 goals in a row. Pretty good turnaround for Mason McTavish. Again, what a release, just posting in blocker side, but Thomas Bolo, Bolo stayed pretty deep in his net. He didn't get a push-off to challenge there, but Mason McTavish might score 30 goals in the NHL next season. That's how good he is. He probably scored 20 in Anaheim. You put Trevor Zegras feeding Mason McTavish and Troy Terry on a line or something like that. Anaheim's got some firepower coming in Mason McTavish, who we saw played really good in the playoffs, OHL playoffs, Memorial Cup for the Hamilton Bulldogs, but 4 goals for Valta Cunha. Wow, Mason McTavish, what a game as Valta Cunha makes their move to the top of the standings. As mentioned, they got a handful of Americans yet to go today, so they could open things up here in UFWJ, thanks in large part to Mason McTavish. And I don't think Bedard had an assist there. Canada's kind of been juggling their lines in this third period, or just kind of blending a bit, letting people play with different people, but I guess just spreading the ice time around. I think it saw Othman was out there with McTavish that shift, but here's Bedard on a different line playing with Kent Johnson. Or no, that's Stankoven out there with Johnson, but that line hasn't done as much damage. Kent Johnson, Logan Stankoven, and Tyson Forster, but they do have 1 goal today. I think that was a power play goal by Logan Stankoven, but I think that line is going to have a game the way McTavish has had a game today, where that line just comes out and absolutely lights it up one day. But today it's all about McTavish, and 4 goals for Canada. So the captain for Team Canada, he's on fire today. 33 shots for Canada, but 9 goals. So a lot of grade A chances and a lot of goal scoring for Canada in this one. East End and Valta Cunha, somewhat expected. They're battling it out at the top of the UFWJ standings. And like I said, I think Valta Cunha, with all their Americans yet today, are going to, depending if Caden Mabreko makes his Valta Cunha debut as the American starter, if they go with Remington Koppel of UCAN Republic. But Valta Cunha is having a whale of a day here, thanks to 4 goals from Mason McTavish of Team Canada. Let's see here. And Dean noticed it too. He says, I'm not sure when it happened, but Othman's playing on the top line now for Canada. And I think they are shuffling. I know when Joshua Roy hit that post, he was out there with Dufour and who's the center on that line? Ridley Gregg. And that was the originally projected line where Othman was going to slot in with Gregg and Dufour, and now Roy has moved down with Gregg and Dufour, and Othman's getting some time with McTavish and Bedard. So just probably getting everybody used to playing with each other. 9-1 at this point. It's garbage time, as they say. McTavish still padding the stat line a little bit, but I'm sure they're letting off the accelerator. McTavish can't not score there. He's got the puck on his slot with nobody within 5 seconds of touching him, and Bolo's not coming out to challenge. So, you may as well shoot the puck over here. He might go for 5. McTavish might be trying to set some sort of world junior record here today. He's on fire, and he just ripped one wide there again as Bedard dangles out around the blue line. And Slovakia tried to play very physical on Connor Bedard early on, and I don't think Canada liked that. I think they're roughing up our young guy, our star. We're going to make them pay on the score sheet, and certainly McTavish has done that as Canada's about to go back to a power play here if Canada doesn't score off this rush. We got Kent Johnson out there as the extra guy, drops it off, and we still got Bedard and McTavish, but Slovakia touches up, and they're going to be shorthanded. 13:38 to go in this third period. 9-1 thanks to 4 goals from Mason McTavish. I'm losing count here, but he's got the hat trick, and then he just ripped a 4th one high blocker on Thomas Bolo, who's come in relief of Simon Lakozy for Slovakia. But that's a tough night for the Slovakian goaltenders, and a great night for Mason McTavish, the captain of Team Canada and the leader of Valta Cunha, along with Connor Bedard. Adam Fantilli is East End, so that's a nice guy to have on the protected list. He's going to have a big role at that December tournament, no doubt, because a guy like Mason McTavish won't be there. He's going to be in the NHL. So McTavish out, Adam Fantilli in for East End anyway. So If Valtacuña is maybe the favorite here or looking good with McTavish, well, you take McTavish away from Valtacuña, you give East End Fantilli, and things look a little different come December. So that's the thing with a dynasty league for the World Juniors. It's going to be, in the real World Juniors, it's kind of the top 6 or top 4, top 5 if Russia's there, are always sort of the same, right? You got Canada, USA, you got Russia, you got Sweden, Finland. Every year, those top 5 are going to be the same. Well, not necessarily in UFWJ out of the 10 countries, because you take a look, every country has players from all the UFWJ countries have players from all 10 of the World Junior countries. So, the Team Canada players are split across all 10 UFWJ countries, and especially with the reverse order of standings draft every year, I think it's going to be a bit cyclical as far as, 1 year Valtacuña and East End are going to be good, and the next year it's going to be UCAN, Republic, and Midgard, or whatever the case. But again, you're going to have to really leverage your protected list, and I think we'll look into possibly expanding those protected lists. It's only a 5-man list now, especially if we're going to do the U18 age group. It makes sense that the UFWJ countries have a bigger protected list of guys that are coming up. We have a very deep scouting and prospect system with UFFS. Over 4,800 hockey players are registered on the UFFS platform. I believe over 2,500 are owned by scouts, all the way out to the we just released the 2025 draft class, the Michael Misa class, if you want to call it that. But we're all the way out to the 2007 born kids. So those guys might be 3 years away from making the World Juniors, but they could easily be on a protected list, and likely a guy like Michael Misa will be drafted in December. Somebody's going to want a protected list spot for Misa. So we're going to have to revisit how the protected list works and how many spots are on it. And then you might have countries that leave spots open for trades during the tournament so that they can trade one of their star players and have an open spot on the protected list to bring in an Aaron Kiviharju or something if Midgard wants to take a run in December and trade him, Again, this has never been done before, so we're kind of working out the kinks as we go, and we're trying to figure out how trades can work and how protected lists can work, and when and how to do the U18 level, and because there you can have 2 tournaments here. You can have the Holinka in August, and you can have the U18s in April, May. So, and again, it's a manpower thing too on the admin side. It takes a lot of commitment to get these tournaments going, but we want all these players, all these digital assets to have value on the UFFS platform. So when scouts own players, the more tournaments we can get those players into, the more chance to get a return on investment, get some ROI back, because the way this works in UFWJ, it's 70-30. So we're looking at Valtacuña, so let's just use Valtacuña as an example here. So if Valtacuña wins the UFWJ championship and they win, let's just say $100. I don't know what the prize pool will be, likely to be more than that, but let's just say they won $100. 70% goes to the franchise. So $70 immediately goes to George Batchel, Kevin Batchel, ownership and staff, Jope. Those guys immediately get $70. And $30 goes to the players on their roster. 30% of 100 is $30. And then out of that $30 or 30%, it goes percentage of fantasy points contributed. Well, right now we're watching Mason McTavish score 4 goals for Team Canada, 9-1 lead over Slovakia in the third period. Let's say Mason McTavish contributed 50%, or well, 50 is probably high. Let's say he contributed 25% of the fantasy points or 20% of the fantasy points for all of Valtacuña's team total, and then broken down by the players on the roster. McTavish contributes 20%. He would get 20% of $30, or of the 30%. So that would be, because math is not my friend and never has been. So whoever owns Mason McTavish, which will be the Can West Generals, their UFHL franchise, would get $6 for Mason McTavish's contribution. He contributed 20% out of the $30, out of the 30%. broken down as $6 would go to Can West just for having the rights to Mason McTavish. Connor Bedard, let's say he had 10% of the. We got another bit of a lacrosse goal attempt. They're having trouble with the ice, the summer ice in Edmonton. Nobody can pull off the lacrosse goal, and maybe you shouldn't when you're going for goal number 10 of the night. You probably don't want to show them up so much that you want to use the lacrosse goal. But again, let's use Bedard. He's owned by Scout, Brennan Kopp, who's the GM of the Bentley Jacks, doubles as their affiliated Scout. But if he contributed 10% of the fantasy points for Valter Cunha, and 30% of the prize pool is $30, then $3 would go back to Brennan Kopp as the Scout for his 10% of the $30. So that's how the revenue sharing works. All these players, or the vast majority, probably 85-90%, are leased. There's probably a handful of players on each country that are owned by the UFWJ countries. Those were the later round picks that were still open market. No scouts had registered on the platform. So if they weren't owned by a scout, the rights weren't owned by a scout when they were drafted, then the franchise owns the rights to those depth players. But all the star players are obviously scooped up years in advance by scouts. So like a guy like Michael Misa, whoever drafts him in December to fill a protected list spot, then obviously that's the Prestige Worldwide scouting agency. Dan Nadeau has the rights to Michael Misa from this just a couple weeks ago. Last month in July, we had the futures auction, and Prestige Worldwide stepped up. They actually have the rights to Aaron Kiviharju and Michael Misa. So potential for the 2024 and 2025 first overall picks could both come from the same scouting agency with Prestige Worldwide potentially. And any revenue that Kiviharju and Michael Misa earned through the World Juniors and UFWJ, the Ultimate Fantasy World Juniors, would then go back to Dan Nadeau, the scout for Prestige Worldwide, who has their rights. And that's how, the revenue really starts to grow. And again, we only used $100 as an example there. If it's $100,000, then we're talking about $3,000 and, $6,000 just for leasing your player to a UFWJ country, right? So as this platform continues to grow, it's going to make a big difference for sure. And Dean says, that Kent Johnson's been a little snake bitten. He could probably have 3, you're right. And that's tough for East End to watch Mason McTavish out there scoring 4 goals and knowing that Kent Johnson's had, at least 4 grade A chances. He could be the guy with 4 goals, but I'm sure his game will come during this tournament because he's a dynamic offensive talent as well. That certainly an NHL ready player. He's gonna have an impact with Columbus sooner than later. A lot of people are wondering who's gonna center Johnny Gaudreau and Patrick Laine, and they already have Jack Roslovic and Boone Jenner and guys like that, and you look down that roster, you're going to center Johnny Gaudreau and Patrick Laine probably by the end of this coming season. It's going to be, Cole Sillinger's an option too, don't get me wrong, but as far as the top offensive dynamic talent in Columbus's system, it's Kent Johnson, and you put Kent Johnson between Gaudreau and Laine, and that's going to be a monster line, maybe one of the best lines in the NHL. As soon as this coming season, by Christmas, I wouldn't be surprised if Kent Johnson's skill level is just so high that they have to bump him up with those guys. And again, Cole Sillinger's a great player. Jack Roslovic's a good center. And Columbus has made a lot of good moves. And then, the surprise signing of Johnny Gaudreau certainly, and locking up Patrick Laine this summer as well, getting him on a decent length extension, really gives Columbus a lot of promise going forward. And Kent Johnson in the UFHL, the Ultimate Fantasy Hockey League, is a member of the Royals, and the Royals have done some really good work lately. Obviously, they have Kent Hughes, who's going to be the number 1 D for Team USA tonight when they play Switzerland. He had a goal and an assist in the opener for the Americans. They drafted in the 2021 entry auction for UFHL. They drafted Hughes and Johnson 2nd and 3rd overall. Owen Power was in that draft. Mason McTavish was in that draft, but they actually took Hughes and Kent Johnson 2nd and 3rd overall. Both those guys are trending well. and then turn around this year and they took Juraj Slafkovsky and Simon Nemec. They traded away guys like Matthew Tkachuk, among others, to clear some cap space and then rebuild through the draft. And the Royals went out as our reigning Founders Trophy winners, regular season champions. The Royals, they're rebuilding through the draft, but now they have Kent Johnson, Luke Hughes, Juraj Slafkovsky, and Simon Nemec all on the way. So look out for the Royals. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the UFHL in the years to come. We'll see if they can hang on to that top spot, though, because it is a little bit of a rebuild, and to expect a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds to have prominent roles as rookies, I mean, they're you're not going to replace Matthew Tkachuk with Juraj Slafkovsky in year one. Maybe by year 2 or 3, Slafkovsky's as good or better than Tkachuk. But the Monarchs, George Batchel, again, we're talking about Velta Cunha. That's their UFHL franchise is the Monarchs. They were one of the biggest reloaders in the offseason. And certainly they made the big blockbuster to get Matthew Tkachuk in there. And they're fighting to stay under the salary cap and battling the cap situation a little bit, but they've had some favorable contracts come up this summer as well, guys that didn't get paid quite as much as some projected, so they might sneak in under the cap and maybe one more casualty there to get it all under the cap. But certainly the Monarchs, when they put out their depth chart, got some oohs and ahs as far as a new contender in that ultra-competitive Gretzky division in the Allen Conference of the Ultimate Fantasy Hockey League. And again, not to take the attention off the watch party, there's 6 minutes to go here in the third period. 9-1 Canada's leading Slovakia. 4 goals from the captain, Mason McTavish of Velta Cunha. Again, I think we've went through all the rosters now as we talked about Republic of the Seven Seas and losing 17 to 25 players, including all 8 defensemen. A tough task for Jeff Ray and Mick Portoni to rebuild it through a supplementary draft and try to compete for a medal. But they're in 5th place through 2 days. They're middle of the pack. Velta Cunha today's been their day. They're soaring up the standings, led by Captain Canada Mason McTavish. East End, they just keep on rolling. What a cool franchise East End is. That's a 3-man ownership group, including Craig Button, who's doing the color commentary for the World Juniors, TSN's lead analyst. Craig Button's part of the ownership group and the GM of East End, and they're looking like a very strong medal contender with Dean Millard and Ian Constable, also 2 guys that are GMs and owners in the UFHL, with Ian with the Stallions and Dean with Duckman's Domination, and Craig obviously works with Duckman's as well. But the roster they assembled here, getting guys like Kent Johnson and Olin Zellweger back, and obviously getting Atu Räty second overall, and he's been Finland, he's been right there among Finland's best players. 4 points in the opener, scored again today. I mean, he's been hot. Roni Hirvonen, the captain of Finland's been great. So East End's right there in the medal hunt. Monstopia, again, they're going to need some forwards to step up. Dufour had a really good opener for Canada. He's been a bit quieter today. I don't think he has any points on the 9 goals. They can use Matt Coronado, who looked good in the opener for the Americans but didn't score. Matt Coronado maybe lights up Switzerland tonight, but they have Wallstad and Edvinsson and Jurasek as sort of their big 3, their top 2D, and their potentially the top goaltender of the tournament in Wallstad, who won the opener for them. So they're going to be hanging around in that battle for bronze. Elite Prospectia is in there as well. Again, we've seen Logan Stankoven get on the board with a power play goal today. You'd like to see, Tyson Forster get one yet, maybe, if not in this last 5 minutes, see him have a big game, maybe. Joshua Roy of Can West is on the board. He's had a great game, Joshua Roy. He's been all over it. Hit a post earlier, had a couple grade A chances, got an assist on McTavish's 4th goal. He was on the 2-on-0 with him, and now he gets the 10th goal of the game for Canada. The fans that are there are loving this. 10-1. Like I said, yesterday we did over-under. Canada, they're going to get 10 goals against Latvia. They only got half that many in a 5-2 victory. Well, today they're up to 10. They've hit double digits. Joshua Roy of Can West. He was their second-round pick. He's been playing started the tournament on the top line with Bedard and McTavish. He's been sort of bouncing around the lineup, getting used to some new line mates here today, at least in the second half of this game, getting some different looks. But there you see Joshua Roy for Can West gets Canada to a 10-1 score, so Can West is happy. Again, a bit of a rough day for Can West because Canada did light up Simon Lecosy, their goaltender, but at least Josh Roy gets 2.5 fantasy points back for this goal. He already had 2.5 fantasy points for the assist on the last goal from McTavish, so there's 5 fantasy points from Josh Roy. Any negatives that could come from Lecosy. Lecosy might break even. He might be around 0 or something like that yet, but if Lecosy goes into the negative, certainly Josh Roy impact will help get him out of the negatives. Connor Bedard just took another hard hit there. As far as physicality goes, Slovakia has been all over Bedard in this game, but he's giving it right back there. He finishes another hit, so he loves that. He's a gritty guy for 5'9", and I don't think he's built as solid as a guy like Logan Stankoven. He's still a little bit slight. Bedard is. Stankoven's like a fire hydrant. His lower body's like Sidney Crosby, just massive mid-core and legs. But Bedard's getting stronger, you can tell. And he's having fun today in this game. He's been chatting it up, and he's been dishing it out as well as taking it throughout this game, as Canada's up to 40 shots now. 40-21, I believe, are the shots. Just a dominant performance. There's another shot for Dylan Garand. He's going to get the W for Anarchia. So they're going to have back-to-back wins from Team Canada goaltenders. Sebastian Cossa yesterday, Dylan Garand today. That's been keeping Anarchia in the middle of the pack for the medal standings. Elite Prospectia, we said they got a goal today from Logan Stankoven, who we were just talking about. Can West got a goal today from Joshua Roy that we just seen, made it 10-1. Scoreway doesn't have much going on in this game. Nathan Gaucher hasn't been on the board. Riley Kidney's been a healthy scratch today. He came out of the lineup for Canada to make room for Brennan Othman of Republic of the Seven Seas, who's got a couple points in this game, maybe even 3 points. They're showing Bedard with all the physicality and the the almost choke slam from Jakub Demek. But they've been having a lot of fun with Bedard, and he's enjoying the physicality. You don't want to see him get hurt, though. They just took another run at him there with Jedlika, or I'm not sure who that was, but yeah. Bit of a run at Bedard late in the game, but again, I think he relishes that. It gets him in the game, the physical play, and trying to add another element to his game, being able to be a bit of a antagonist out there, which, maybe a little bit of Brad Marchand in his game, even Bedard, but he's going to be a special player, projected first overall pick for the 2023 NHL draft. We mentioned the Bentley Jacks. They made the playoffs in the UFHL as an expansion franchise, blew Seattle Kraken out of the water as far as successful expansion draft, inaugural season, make the playoffs. Brennan Kopp got some votes for GM of the year. Then in the offseason, they blew it up, and Duckmans actually was one of the beneficiaries, acquiring Nikita Kucherov and Josh Morrissey in the same trade that sent the rights to Shane Wright the other way, and Bentley Jacks did draft Shane Wright in the entry auction, and they also have a vested interest in Connor Bedard, obviously, because he's a projected first overall pick in 2023, and the Bentley Jacks GM, Brennan Kopp, has his rights as a scout, and certainly has positioned the Bentley Jacks to quote-unquote be bad for Bedard, or whatever you want to say the slogan is. The Bentley Jacks have traded away Kucherov and these guys for futures in the anticipation of being likely a lottery team in the UFHL, from playoff team to lottery team, one step back, hoping to go 2 steps forward if they can pair Shane Wright and Connor Bedard as the faces of the franchise for the Bentley Jacks. That could be a heck of a decade with a 1-2 punch like that. Canadian forwards. And again, Shane Wright not playing in this tournament, so Bedard, the real face of Team Canada, along with Captain Canada, his line mate, Mason McTavish. 4 goals today in this 10-1 lead for Team Canada. But yeah, I mean, up and down the rosters here in UFWJ, everybody's getting contributions. Like I said, Scoreway not as much, so they might fall back to the pack a little bit. Their big day was yesterday with that Alexander Blank hat-trick 4-point performance, and they had the forward of the day both days. We're 2 days into the tournament in UFWJ. The forward of the day on day 1, Joachim Kemmel, Scoreway, had 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists. The forward of the day on day 2, Scoreway, Alexander Blank, hat-trick, 3 goals and an assist for Germany. So Scoreway's not going to get the forward of the day on day 3. It sure looks like Valta Cunha is going to have the forward of the day with Mason McTavish, 4-goal game. And a ton of shots in this game, too. I don't know how many of the 41 shots were McTavish, but he must have close to 10 shots in this game, so he's going to have a big stat line. We'll see. Alexander Blank had 15.95 fantasy points yesterday. We will see if Mason McTavish has more than 15.95 fantasy points today from this game as the clock winds down in the final minute. We'll see if Mason McTavish sets the new standard for most fantasy points in a day, in a single game for UFWJ, but it certainly looks like he will, as Canada might have stuffed in another goal here. They did. Who do we have? Is that Nathan Gaucher? Now that we're looking at Scoreway, that might have been Nathan No, who do we got? Who's number 20 for Canada? Zach Ostapchuk, maybe? Anyway, Canada's got a goal here right at the tail end, and I got this open here. I'll be able to tell you in a second. Yeah, it's Zach Ostapchuk, Vancouver Giants player from the Ottawa Senators, digs it out of the side of the net and stuffs it in. Joshua Roy's going to get another assist. So for Can West, their second-round pick, Joshua Roy's going to have a 3-point game, which gets him 7.5 fantasy points. So Joshua Roy had himself a really good night, but Zach Ostapchuk gets on the board with a late goal, makes it 11-1 for Canada. What a blowout. 20 seconds to go. If you're Zach Ostapchuk, though, you saw Brendan Othman come into the lineup, and Canada might get one more here yet. They're still going. But you saw Othman come in and score a goal, also had an assist, and that was a guy you were competing with in the depth chart. So you want to get out there and get on the score sheet, make an impact as well, and that'll do it. 11-1 for Canada. Dylan Garand gets the winning goal for Anarchia. And obviously a tough day at the office for Simon Lakosi and the entire Team Slovakia. They'll try to regroup in a hurry because they need to beat Latvia tomorrow in a must-win in order to make the quarterfinals. So Latvia held Canada to 5-2. That was a close game yesterday. 5-2 Canada over Latvia. Today, Canada defeats Slovakia 11-1. So Slovakia has to regroup in a hurry for tomorrow's big game against Latvia. Latvia was off today, so they get to rest up, and that's a big game tomorrow now all of a sudden for, again, there's no relegation, but you want to make the medal round, you want to make the quarterfinals, you don't want to be a bottom 2 country, and I don't expect Slovakia will be, and I wouldn't rule out, certainly Philip Mazar will be there at Christmas. Republic of the Seven Seas will get him back. Montreal will let him play at the December tournament. And potentially you could see Simon Nemec and or Juraj Slafkovsky, depending how, if Nemec doesn't make New Jersey, he'll be playing pro in Slovakia. He would then be at the Christmas tournament for sure. And then also, with Slafkovsky, I mean, the expectation is the first overall pick always plays in the NHL. The expectation is he's been good in pro, not great in the Liga, but he's been good. The expectation is he'll make Montreal, but if he doesn't, or he's struggling in the first half of the year, like Jesperi Kotkaniemi did there, they might send him to the World Juniors for a confidence boost. He's already been the Olympic MVP against men. He's already scored at the World Championships against NHL players, but maybe he gets to come back and light it up at the World Juniors at Christmas too. So Slovakia will have a better team in December than they have at this August tournament, and Matish Kazlik, their player of the game. I don't know if he was Lakozy was player of the game against Chechen, the goaltender, in their opener. Kazlik had 2 goals in the opener. Scored his 3rd goal of the tournament, the only goal for Slovakia today. So he gets player of the game honors for UCAN Republic, Matish Kazlik. And then, of course, the obvious, Mason McTavish, 4-goal game, player of the game for Canada. Mason McTavish of Velta Cunha. So we mentioned Scoreway didn't have a lot of points today compared to the other medal contenders. Midgard, their big games tonight with Logan Cooley and Red Savage, and they're going to have Jack Pert and Wyatt Kaiser in there. So they're really looking forward to the USA game tonight against Switzerland. Anarchia is going to be looking forward to that game as well. Anarchia has the goaltending tandem for Canada, so they get the big win from Dylan Garand, who will put up a pretty nice stat line because he only allowed the 1 goal. He had over 20 saves. He'll get a nice stat line out of this for the win for Anarchia. And Lucas Cormier had 2 assists, if not more. At least had 2 assists, including a power play assist. So that's 6.5 points right there for Cormier, their top defenseman from Canada. And they don't have any forwards from Canada. So, but they do have 2 from USA tonight. They also have 2 defensemen from USA. So big game tonight for Anarchia with Matt Nyes and Brett Berard and Brock Faber, Ian Moore. All eyes on that game for Anarchia. If they get another big game from their US guys tonight, they're going to be in the running for bronze by tomorrow. And certainly UCAN Republic, as mentioned, Matish Kazlik, player of the game for Slovakia. It's his 3rd goal of the tournament. Jakub Demek was the guy that was going back and forth with Berard all night, Connor Bedard all night, not Berard. Berard, there's lots of similar names, but Brett Berard will be playing for USA for Anarchia yet tonight in the late game. USA Switzerland, 10 Eastern is the start there in a little over an hour and a half from now. Connor Bedard had another great game for Canada, opened the scoring 2nd day in a row, and just you can see how dynamic of a talent he is. He wrung at least 1 shot off the post today, might have hit a couple posts, but we'll see who the starting goaltender is tonight for USA. That's the interesting thing for UCAN Republic. Remington Koppel could get the start tonight for USA if they don't go back with Caden Mabareko again. It'll be interesting to see who starts there. They also have Brian Zanetti, a good defenseman for Switzerland, one of their better players on the back end. So they're going to have some interesting guys going tonight too. Should be a fun nightcap in UFWJ, but early on as we look at the standings again through 2 days, it was East End, Scoreway, Velta Cunha. East End and Velta Cunha have had a big day. Scoreway not as much. Their big day was yesterday. So I think you're going to see a 1-2 of Velta Cunha East End come that day 3 update, which we always do next day updates in UFWJ. It's not live scoring. And even the IIHF website, they do overnight updates for the most part. Ice time, shots on goal, things change overnight. So the official scoring updates will hopefully be tomorrow before the early game tomorrow. We should have the day 3 scoring update. And you look at the schedule tomorrow, the early game is Sweden-Austria at 2 Eastern. Only 2 games tomorrow. And then the evening game, if you want to call it that, afternoon game, 6 p.m. Eastern start tomorrow is Slovakia-Latvia. Winner of that game probably makes the quarterfinals in this pool. So that's a big game. But definitely a lot of fun on the first ever UFWJ watch party as Canada thumps Slovakia 11-1. Not much of a contest on the ice, but lots of fun to watch, lots of fun to follow. Cole's here, says, how's everyone doing? We're doing great, Cole. Just wrapping up the show as we saw Canada light up Slovakia 11-1 in UFWJ action. So we'll sign off for tonight. We'll be back for another watch party myself on Monday. Canada-Finland, 6 p.m. Eastern on Monday. That's almost certainly going to be for first place in this pool or this group. So that's going to be a lot closer than 11-1. That's going to be a barn burner. So Tune in Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on the UFSN Ultimate Fantasy Sports Twitch channel. We'll have another UFWJ watch party for Canada-Finland. But that's all for today, and appreciate everyone tuning in, and we'll see you again on Monday. And best of luck to all the UFWJ franchises through the weekend, because things change from day to day, but a big day for Valtacunia and East End by the looks of things, and we'll see how tonight's game, USA-Switzerland, goes and how the standings look come tomorrow morning. So great job, everyone. Congratulations to Valtacunia on the 4-goal game for Mason McTavish, and we'll see you all back here on Monday for the Canada-Finland game on another UFWJ watch party. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.